I just welcomed everyone to the course. This will be a virtual online Photoshop class that we're going to conduct on Thursday mornings starting at 9 a.m. As I mentioned earlier, it's a really fun class, insightful class with a lot of information when it comes to Photoshop. And who doesn't love Photoshop, right? It's one of the most exciting applications in the graphic design industry, and I'm privileged to teach it, and I enjoy doing it all the time. I get this opportunity. Okay, so I'm going to share my screen now, and this is, like I mentioned earlier, being recorded, so you can watch this video at a later time, especially when it gets more advanced with some other tactical methods that we're going to implement using Photoshop. I'm going to ask you if you can see my screen. So then let me know if you guys can see my screen. Just raise your hand up, please. Perfect. Thank you. Yeah, I saw some numbers go up there. Very good. Excellent. So we're all good to go. Sometimes, even I was teaching yesterday in room 132, which is right adjacent to 140 where you are. And every time you go to a new classroom, you have to check your HDMI cables and networks and stuff. It's always a nerve-wracking day because you want everything to go smooth. Same as online, we have, I remember I had internet issues during the pandemic. We had to switch the online delivery for all the classes, not just this one. And there was a lot of internet problems and stuff, even like with Rogers and Bell. Like you've been using the best providers out there. There's always glitches and stuff. So we always want to make sure that all these things are looked after. Um, let's go to my Blackboard here. You know by now to access Blackboard, you click on learn.humber.ca. This is the quickest way to access the portal. This is a portal that we use for the college. Other educational institutions use a similar platform. Some are different than others. There's Moodle, there's Blackboard, there's some other ones as well. This is our Photoshop class, of course. It's digital imaging, Adobe Photoshop GDPW 112. Your section is RNA. Now, this is the only time you're going to be uh, learning Photoshop for your program. That's because it's a pretty fundamental class. We start right at the beginning. Even if you like, my assumption is some of you don't even know Photoshop, so I got to start right from the ground up. Those of you that have used Photoshop, which I also have a lot of students in the past, that even some graphic designers, a lot of skilled artists, they're still in it for the ride and learn a lot of cool new things, and they get to share some knowledge of their own. So it's a really insightful experience for everyone. So bear with me, right? And no matter what level you're at, always ask questions. We're always here to help you. Me and my staff, the rest of the teachers here at Humber as well. And when I was a student, I remember back in my day, I learned a lot from my peers. So if you can have that community enabled communication with one another, that would be also really good. I'm going to switch to student view so I can pretty much see what you see. I did upload some information to Blackboard, of course. This is not all, obviously. There's a lot more stuff that I'm going to be uploading. What I don't want to do is overwhelm the actual channel and have way too much stuff at once. So I'm going to put all the necessary ingredients for now. As we go by week to week basis, definitely there'll be more material here that for us to use. So for now, the most important thing is this one here, which is the virtual class link. This is how we access the class. I'm assuming you clicked on this very link here yourself to come on board Teams and join the class this morning. So that seems to work fine. This will always take you to the same channel. I have other classes that I teach, so that's a different channel. For every channel, there's a different link for that particular class. So make sure you kind of copy and paste it, or just use the one from Blackboard that's here, right? That's also good. This is your Adobe Cloud subscription via Humber. This is very important as well. As you're aware, you do need to have your license for using these Adobe applications. It used to be called Adobe Creative Suite. Now it's called Adobe Creative Cloud. It's one platform. If you click on this actual link, it'll give you um, another link and another description of what this is. Um, if you click on this link, it'll take you to your designated Humber online hub for purchasing applications. This is a very, very special offer. Even teachers can't get this. I mean, I used mine up like 5 years ago, and I think now it's came back. Every 5 years I can get it again. But I have another license to use for my other job and for my school, so I don't really have to do this. But I remember at the company that I was with at one point, we were paying 230 something dollars a month to use all these applications. You're getting this whole thing for 12 months for 175 Canadian. So it's a really, really good deal. I would strongly encourage you to take advantage of this opportunity, being a student at Humber, and get the Adobe Creative Cloud. Now, remember also, you got to use your school credentials. Do not use your Gmail or Hotmail or any other email address you might have. Because if you do that, it just might glitch the system and you might not get all the software that you're entitled to. So make sure you use the N and the number at Humbermail or humber.ca, whichever email you have, just to kind of show you the subscription prices, even for students. I mean, it's not that terrible. It used to be a lot more before. I think they kind of it's US. This is like a school. Let me just go here for a second. Students and teachers. Yeah. All right. That's good. View plans and pricing. So basically, you're looking at this is US, by the way, $60 a month for all these applications. Okay. So most of them there. If you're a student and anyways, it's along that type of scale. It's a little cheaper now if you're still here we go, students and teachers. So it is dropped quite significantly. $20. It's like $30 a month, basically, Canadian. I remember that was the same price we had like probably years ago. If you still do the math, 30 times, 12 months, you're looking at over $300 for sure. Whereas again, the school gives you like a good discount for half or a fraction of the price. Okay, so please do that. I'm not sure if the other teachers mentioned this to you. I'm sure they probably have, but if you haven't, and you happen to wonder how this works, just get the subscription. How many of you do have Creative Cloud already? I just want to make sure, just to go do a quick tally. Oh, I'm going to go back to my channel here. Give me 1 second. All right. So everyone has it, right? I'm assuming everybody has the applications ready to go. If some of you don't have it, make sure this is your first week as we do the introductions and stuff for all the classes. You need this Creative Cloud. Um, some have older versions that they've purchased before and they can use. I guess that's okay. Um, I mean, I can use an older version of Photoshop and still get away teaching you the software, but the new features are important. So it's good to have the latest versions, of course. All right, very good. All right, so let's start with the application. And before that, let's make sure I don't have nothing here on the. So that's the link to get the applications. It's under Adobe Cloud subscription via Humber. Then you have my biography here with my picture, I guess. The picture wasn't working, the other one. As I mentioned earlier, my name is Milo Radovtoski. I spent over 20 years teaching this type of subject in various schools. I've worked for private schools before. I've been with Humber for like 10 years, I guess, and I really enjoyed the campus. I'm there pretty much maybe once or twice a week. This class, I know it's online, but you can always get a hold of me with using Blackboard. Okay. I do run a creative company or an agency. I do consulting. I have a few web platforms that I look after. So I keep busy with other things in the industry. And I do enjoy teaching a few days a week that I have available. So that's my pretty much biography there. This is the course outline. So if you click on that, you'll have some other packages here. This is the welcome to the course package for GDPW. So we do have the course outline, which is the formal outline we give for every classes. And this just tells you everything that the class entails. Um, and the most important part for the segment is this information over here. Um, Sometimes even this gets a little, misguided because of the way it was kind of filled out before, and then we switch it up just to accommodate some students. So you do have in-class exercises. 101 review will be switched to the presentation at the end. So this, I'm just going to change the wording on that. You're going to have a project one, a project two, and you're going to have two composite assignments that'll be given to you by other instructors. So the other teacher will give you a composite assignment, and you're going to utilize the applications you're learning in Photoshop. I believe it's going to be your Illustrator, your digital drawing class with Sheila. I think Roberto is going to implement the page layout aspect. I don't know if typography is involved. It might be. And then you have myself with the Photoshop, and you're going to create the first composite assignment. I'll give you some examples next time. I'm sure they're going to give you some student samples as well. The second composite assignment will also involve the Photoshop class. You're going to probably create the website for it as well as I think also the digital illustration might take part with that one. I don't know if it's the first one or the second one, but some of them do flip back and forth. That'll come in due time, so just be patient and wait for, like I think is Roberto that's gonna be explaining that part to you. Okay. And this is the other breakdown of what we're going to be learning in this class. So, like the Photoshop design tools, the composite, digital drawing techniques, post production techniques. I know it says digital drawing because we have to incorporate some vector tools in Photoshop as well. So it's kind of amalgamating both techniques into one. So that's the course outline. What's more important here is the critical path. This is like your guide to the whole course. Every class should have this for you. This way you're clear on what's due, what's expected, and I'll show you another quick tip and method to check this stuff out. But for example, you have exercise one assigned today in week one, week two, week three. Everything that's expected of you or to be delivered or assigned is all in here. This way there's no miscommunication and there's no confusion about what's happening. And also gives you a little bit of brief description of the topics and activities. Of course, there's going to be more to this. This is just a quick little brief on the overall description. So today, for example, it says demo of basic skills covered in Photoshop, selections, interface, and file format. So we're going to cover this today, for example, and so on and so forth for every class. We go right through week number 7. Then week number 8 is called a reading week. We have no classes that week. Ironic enough, I give you a project assigned that's due, I think, after the reading week, and it's going to be the book cover assignment. So that's going to be kind of interesting when you get to pick your favorite book to read, and you also do a book cover at the same time. It kind of goes nice with the week 8 format. As we keep moving along here, halfway through the semester, in the latter half, we're going to be covering more web techniques. As you know, a lot of stuff is done now for the web, even for the UX UI design, which I'm going to have the opportunity to teach it next semester as well with you. We're going to be using Figma. We used to use Adobe XD. Now we're switching over to the Figma format. And a lot of the skills that we're going to learn in Photoshop, you can implement in the UX UI class as well. So here you're going to do some animation in Photoshop, website prototyping, some other advanced features that Photoshop can be used not just for print, but also for web. So the way I have it set up nicely is first we do more like the print delivery, and then we do more like the online web stuff, like web delivery, which is you're going to be optimizing images for websites, for UX, UI design modules and things like that. Whereas the first half, you're going to be optimizing all your digital imaging, composites, and files for print. So I like to kind of simplify it. Print in the first half of the semester. It's going to trickle down a little bit after maybe a week or two, but the latter part of the second the second half of the semester will be mostly geared towards web. Okay, so you have a clear understanding of how Photoshop can be utilized as a powerful digital imaging tool for multiple industries. Okay. All right, so that's over here under course outline and your course package. There's your class modules. This is where we're going to have the modules are going to add up. So next week you'll have module two. The week after that you'll have module three, and so on and so forth. So today's module one, and you're going to have I put some goodies in there for you. You do have a Photoshop tutorials link. Sometimes maybe my delivery might miss out on something that you might want to know how to do, and this is why you can ask questions. But you can also watch tutorials on your own. There's a lot of stuff on YouTube, of course, as you know, but this is the actual dedicated Adobe Photoshop tutorial link. So if you click on this one, it's going to take you to the Creative Cloud um, website, and they have uh, assignments or tutorials geared towards all these important topics. And I like these because from time to time, even myself, I have to sharpen my understanding of some of the new features and tools that they introduce in some of the latest versions. So we have to keep on top of it as well. All right, and you can download files and do all the other stuff. Okay, so it's just an extra resource I wanted to share with you. A lot of the stuff that I'm going to deliver is my own stuff, and this is just some extra stuff that we can dive into if we need to go from time to time. So that's under your module one Photoshop tutorials link. This is called exercise one. We're going to start with this one today. So I'm going to open that up in a moment. And then we have it's called the abstract exercise challenge. And this is where we get to interact with one another just to make sure everyone's paying attention and doing their due diligence. I'm going to do this from time to time and have you upload the exercise that we're going to conduct for today's lesson. All right. So maybe not every week, but some weeks I will maybe assign this communal challenge exercise just for us to upload and show off our work. Okay, this is just weekly exercises, nothing to do with the projects and assignments. Okay, so if you click on this, basically it's going to look like this. So you can write a response, you can upload a file. I'll get into this a little later as I will have you partake in this challenge as well. Okay, so after that we'll do a little bit of a challenge. So then we have the main projects and the resources. Okay, so the main projects will be the movie poster. That's your first assignment. Since we have to cover print in depth and how to optimize images for print resolution, this presents a perfect opportunity to create a movie poster. Now, the movie poster is also, as you know, it's going to be for digital and print. So you can, let's say Netflix has a new movie or a new show that they're promoting, even Amazon, they will do like an actual screen format, a poster or a digital poster for the movie. We're going to take the more traditional approach where we're going to create a print version. However, it will also cater to the screen version as well. I mean, you can always downsize resolution. The rule is you can always go down, but you can't go really up because you have to rely on the resources and the content that are needed for the design. Okay, so this is something that we're going to go over later on. I just thought I'd throw it out there just to give you some extra time to think about what type of movie poster would you like to make. Then we have the resource tab here. These are some extra goodies again I want to share with you. These are Photoshop PDF tutorials. These are my hand-picked selected tutorials that I love to, give to my students. We do cover some of them in class if it's necessary. Just a quick note, these are older tutorials. I can't really keep up with every time they update this application. But I'll tell you one thing, the methods are pretty much still the same. And even the techniques that are introducing here are fundamentally important to learn. So if you click on this, it'll just download a zip file and you can just keep that in your arsenal. Okay. For the class exercises that we're going to be conducting virtually, this is the link that we're going to use, layers and selections. Okay. And then I have Photoshop tools quick tip. I might have to update this, okay, because it does have your like all the tools basically capsulated under one screen capture. I can always go online and find something newer and upload it. You can also do the same on your own, but just a quick way to go over some of the tools. And you can see Photoshop has a lot of tools to use for many different things. Okay, so we're going to cover most of these tools in this class, if not all of them, but the important ones for sure, because obviously we're going to have to utilize these tools to get the job done for many different techniques. Okay, so we're going to learn things like layers, of course, selections is a big part of Photoshop, and the other tools that coincide with it. All right, so lastly, I wanted to kind of ask you to download this as well. This will pave the way for us for the upcoming, at least I would say a good half of the semester for the modules that we have up ahead. To learn Photoshop truly, to understand the program, and to be um, on the intermediate level, beginner intermediate level, you have to learn layers and selections. That's where we're going to start. So if you click on this link right here, you will download. You can get both of these files if you like. We will need these to conduct the exercises. So go ahead and selections.zip. You can just click on the right side here and just go to download original file. And I'll save that onto the desktop. Same thing with layers.zip. This is something we'll start probably in week 3 or week 4. So download that one also. Right? So those are your resources for us to use. I will spontaneously sometimes like to do things, on a whim and go on the internet and get some images and do something from scratch. I like to also do that. Even using Photoshop as a tool itself, you don't have to rely on image sources and stuff. You can really use Photoshop as your digital creative tool, right? Okay, so that's pretty much all for now in terms of the module and Blackboard and all the links and stuff. I like to take the time to introduce everything that's available to you. Um, so yeah, I think nothing's missing from what I see, except your assignment one. I think I have to somehow bring that in there. So I'll give you your first assignments. Maybe during the break, I'm gonna quickly fish it over. I noticed that's one thing that's missing, which is a small assignment. I'm gonna give it to you later today. All right, so we're gonna talk about that. Alrighty, so I see. These are the files that we downloaded. So if you extract all these zip files, if you're using a Mac or a PC, it'll also give you the same results. Doesn't really matter what platform or operating system you like to use. I'm using a MacBook Pro here. That's my computer of choice. I do have a PC beside me, so I'm not biased with computers. I do prefer the Mac because it is kind of industry standard in most places that we use it for. However, I do use a PC from time to time for other things like web stuff and other similar methods. Okay, so let me see here. I look for my Blackboard Teams app here. All right, let's see how many of you are using a Mac. Just raise your hand if you have a Mac. I want to see who's using what platform here. Okay, so I got a good 12 there. I'm looking at the number here. So, but a good almost half of you, I guess, or a good third of you have Macs. Now, I know the obvious thing is the rest of you have PCs, but I still want to ask the question to get you to participate in me asking questions and you raising your hand. So I'm going to ask you, for those of you that have PCs, can you raise your hand as well, please? Okay, so the PC users, um, all right. This is also important because when I give you instructions like Command C or Command X or Command R or something along with the shortcut, I got to be mindful to kind of relate it to the PC shortcut as well. Every time I mention Command, it's Control on the PC. Like let's say your simple copy and paste shortcut, Command C, Command V on the Mac, Control C, Control V on the PC. So these shortcuts are pretty simple. The only I guess the only other one might be a little tricky is Option. Option is the Alt key on the PC. So if you hold, you can lower your hands now. Thank you. Appreciate it. Letting me know. Alt is your substitute key for Option. So when I say Option click, which means it's Alt click, I'll usually say Option Alt or something like that. Okay. So that's another shortcut we're going to use. Shift, of course, is another powerful shortcut. Shift is universal in both operating systems. So you have a Mac or PC, Shift works the same way. So it's not really a big deal. And a lot of these programs have shortcuts. And I do encourage you to learn shortcuts as soon as you can, whether you're an Illustrator, InDesign, Photoshop, all these programs have great shortcuts to help you do things a lot faster, more efficient, and a little more in tune with the machine. I find using shortcuts gives you a lot more connection to the computer because you're just more in tune with what's going on. I used to give quizzes in my intro to Mac class to my students. On the second day, I would freak them out. I would be like, take out your mouse, and like, what? What are we doing? And I would have them use no mouse at all, just a keyboard. And I would give them instructions like open up a folder, make a folder, open up an application, save a file with no mouse at all. So they had to really learn how to use the shortcuts, and that helped them because it made them a little more in tune with their tools. Okay, because the computer is your tool, and that's how you become a little more acquainted with the hardware. Okay, along with the software as well. All right, so let's go through these quick zip files here so you can see what they are. So this is the Photoshop PDFs that I gave you. These are all the handpicked PDFs that cover important things in the software. Brushes, I mean, brushes did evolve from this version here. This is like CS6, I think, but they're still used the same way. Brushes act like brushes. They're not going to change anytime soon. Clipping masks and type, placing images and text. These are also very, very advanced methods that Photoshop like to use. Then we have things like more clipping mask essentials. We have, saving and switching workspaces. Okay, this might be useful. Not that important, but it's good to know. Transforming essential skills and shortcuts. So different ways you can use the transform methods in Photoshop, of course. And then you have layer styles, saving, loading, and reusing layer styles, duplicating layer styles, copying layer styles. More layers, alignments, distributing layers in different ways. Okay, so this is a nice way to demonstrate that as well. Another layers introduction. These are not in order by any chance. I'm just going through them randomly here because that's the way they're showed up on my list. Then you have more layer blend modes, okay, which we're going to cover. All these topics we're going to cover. These are just additional handouts I wanted to share with you. Because to be honest with you, this doesn't reflect the latest software, so it might be a little different than what you're used to, and I don't want to have you guys do something like you're not too familiar with, although it's not that different. I mean, you can see a layer and how they look and stuff. Masking, okay, selections with quick masks. I know in the latest version of Photoshop, I did look up, there's a lot of new brush mask tools that are introduced. So that's a good way for us to kind of segue that way with the demonstrations. Basic selections, of course. This is crucial to learning Photoshop by learning selections. More selections using like the magic wand and other tools, of course, that evolved after the magic wand. The magic wand used to be the main tool for selecting things. Now there's a lot more tools. Like the quick selection tool, when that one came out, it really revolutionized how we made selections with more complicated elements in the image. And of course, now there's a lot more methods available as well. Transforming selections, okay, a little powerful technique for that one as well. Then, why do we need selections in Photoshop? Just a basic introduction, of course, to that one. Typography, I know you have a typography class designated strictly for that. And you're going to use typography in other programs, not just Illustrator or InDesign. Photoshop also has a type tool that's quite evolved by now, so you can utilize it quite nicely with using selections from type, extracting a type from a selection from an image. There's a lot of ways you can incorporate typography with Photoshop as well. some more type essentials, power shortcuts, and lastly, you have some additional Photoshop type essentials as well. All right, so this is all just material to give you. I used to assign students to purchase books and stuff in the past. Those days are gone. There's no need to buy books. Even the books that I see online right now, they're just redundant with the same techniques, just regurgitated and reprinted. So this is what I picked up, like pretty much my knowledge base of all these important things. And of course, there's other techniques you can learn, but these are the fundamentals, beginner slash intermediate level of using the software. Okay, so those are for you to have. That's my gift to you. So let's keep that there. These are the lessons. So, for example, selections and layers. I wouldn't worry about layers just yet. It's the selections that we're going to start with. So if you click on the selections folder, this is the one we'll start with next week. Okay, next week, because today we'll do like a basic introduction of the software. We're probably going to do an exercise as well, not an assignment, but an exercise, which you will upload, and I will see what you did in your exercise. So this is how the selections work. There's like an image, this is like a Photoshop file, and these are instructions on how to uh, conduct the actual exercise. So it gives you all the steps written. If you're the type of person that likes to read notes and follow instructions, this is great because it gives you a written instruction, the Photoshop file, plus me doing it live with you on a live demonstration, a virtual demo format. So you can't go wrong. You have everything that you need. Same with lesson two. We get to do some more advanced selections as well. Lesson three. And finally, we have lesson four, which you will, at the end of this one, you will put this photo back together. It's your reconstruction assignment for you to put this thing back. But then you'll know how to do this, right? All right, so that's your selections folder. So keep that handy. We're going to start with that one next week. Okay, next week we'll start with this one. And I think the only thing I'm missing is the assignment, which I'm going to give you. But you know what? I'm going to do that next week as well. So don't worry about it. The assignment will be assigned next week. Today, I'm just going to keep you nice and clean. I don't want to overwhelm you already on the first day to give you an assignment. We'll do an exercise instead. Okay. And that's why I probably don't have it up there because it's copied from the last course as well. All right, so I think that's pretty much all the Blackboard ingredients that I have, and I think we're ready now to move on to the software. I'm going to ask one more time just to get everyone engaged. Who has Photoshop open and ready to go? Because some of you might not have the applications yet for whatever reason. Maybe you have a new computer and you're updating your operating system or whatever. So I just want to see who has. So all of you have the application ready to go. I see a lot of you don't have it. Is there a reason why you guys don't have the program? You don't have to tell me. Like, just if you want to voice it out, that's fine. If you don't, you can always just make sure by the end of this week you get this Creative Cloud software. Okay. Okay. All right. So I see a good handful of you have it already. Uh, what's concerning is a lot of you don't have it. So I want to make sure all of you are taken care of. I noticed the numbers increased when I started the lesson this morning. So what I'll do is this. Hi there. Can you guys hear me? I think something happened there in the process. I probably accidentally closed the window. I do apologize. Uh, That's why I hear
Awesome.
that beep in the background. How long was it
Well,
gone
yeah.
for?
Well, a few minutes, like
A few
a couple
minutes?
minutes. I guess a
Yeah,
couple
I
minutes.
saw it. I just have to get it reloaded and stuff. All right.
Thought it was me.
Sorry.
I'm so glad it's you and not me.
Oh, you see that? It happens to the best of us, let me tell you. All right. So I think our recording got interrupted, so I'm gonna record again. The part where you missed was me explaining again how to get the subscription. So let me just quickly go ahead and do that again. Oh, it's still recording, so we're good. Okay. I think we're okay. Stop recording. Yeah. All right. We'll continue. All right, so back again, where before we got disconnected, and that was my error, by the way. I don't think I'm not gonna blame the software and stuff. It's gonna blame. I think I just clicked too many things at once, and that's what happens sometimes when I'm demonstrating all these different windows. Um, I noticed a lot of you don't have the subscription um, for the application, so please make sure you take advantage of this Adobe Cloud subscription. That's what I was talking about when we got disconnected. So you click on this link and you get this for $175. As I mentioned earlier, companies pay up to $230 a month. Okay, so you're paying this for the whole year, Canadian. You're a student. Even then, let's say you don't want the whole year, you're still paying $30 a month anyways. So it does equate to, a lot more than this. So get the deal. Make sure you use your Humber credentials. Otherwise, it just will not work. I think some of the applications will not even let you download. So make sure you do your Humber email and you pay the $175. That's the only expense we ask you to spend in this course. I mentioned earlier the universities and colleges, just books alone will run you up to thousands of dollars, right? If you take another course. Here, you don't have to spend much because it's all digital. You get these applications for the year. This is all you're spending for the course, in addition to what you already paid for your tuition. But aside from this, if you want to buy an external hard drive, maybe you need a computer or something like that, that's on you, right? So make sure you do that, and we'll get you started with that one. Now, if you don't have it today, don't worry. I'm recording this session. I will upload it as well. Your next question might be, how are we going to watch all these videos? I tried other ways. We used to have a virtual area here to watch the videos, but they discontinued that. They gave me no other option but to use YouTube. So I said, hey, let's use YouTube as a tool. And we do have a YouTube channel, and I did upload a lot of videos in the past on YouTube, and it worked really well because a lot of students will, subscribe to the channel and they can always watch other videos and stuff. So we do have a private YouTube channel. Okay. All right. So I'm going to give you the link for that as well. And that's going to be upcoming in the next session. So this is the part where we got disconnected. I was going to come back and ask you if you have any questions.
Kind of have a question about the because I got the Adobe Creative Suite. Humber had sent a welcome email with a link to it with the student fee, so I thought that was the price, but now that you're saying it's 175, I realize I paid more. So I'm kind of wondering if I can dump that and go like cancel it and get the Humber price, or if that's too late. Do you know anything about that?
So this is Danielle, right?
Yeah, yeah.
You know what, Danielle? So you told me they told you this is there was a subcharge of a tuition fee in this for the applications. They said that, right? So perhaps maybe it is covered. Maybe it's something that you know what, let me ask, did you ask this to any other teachers, or this is the first time
No,
you're talking?
the only reason, the only reason I know is because you showed us you gave us the link, and then said it was 175 for the year. So I got an email from Humber like a few weeks ago with a link to buy the Adobe Creative Cloud, and I thought that was the special price. So no, I haven't mentioned it I just realized today.
Yeah, but you mentioned you already paid for this in your tuition. It was part of your tuition fee or something, or
No,
no, that was
no,
different.
no, it's not part of tuition at all.
Okay, it's an added fee. I think so.
Yeah,
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 yeah.
yeah. So that's the same link. I'm assuming. Is it the same link? That is Z 175, right? That's the same price.
No, like I think I was paying oh, I'm just getting a message from someone else in class that they got a refund or canceled it and got a refund. So that's what I'll do. So you can for whoever, because I think other people might have bought it at the higher price, which was like
Oh
something
no.
like 25.99 a month for students, which
Right.
is higher than that 175. So it looks like you can cancel it, get a refund, and then
Yes.
go through Humber.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. And I thank you for bringing this up. This is so crucial right now, especially in week one. You do have a 7-day free trial, and even if you purchased it within the month, you can cancel. So even if you lose $30 or maybe get your money refunded, which is ideal,
Yeah.
yeah, just do that. And yeah, I'm surprised they didn't even mention this to you guys, even the other um,
No, it's
teachers.
the first I see of it. Yeah.
Really? Okay. So yeah, please save yourself some money. We all want to save a bit of money here. I know you're in school now too, so maybe you don't even have a work or whatever. Yeah, go to your this one here, okay, and get your applications this way, because you're a Humber student and get your deal. Okay, so get your refund and get this thing sorted out. Okay.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay, you're welcome. Good. So I'm glad I brought this up. I usually do, but I'm surprised they didn't communicate this with you earlier as well. Maybe I'll talk to my peers and see what they have to say.
Yeah,
All right.
I'm
Huh.
apparently in the one of the classes yesterday, someone might have mentioned one of the profs might have mentioned it. Sorry, I'm just getting notes from someone in class. Yeah, anyway, just I'm not like I don't want to it's not bad mouthing anybody. I just,
No, no, for
I
sure. I know,
yeah,
but
yeah.
we all have to communicate, be on the same page. Tell me
Yeah.
what tell me do you guys have all your classes already? Today's Thursday.
No, there are two tomorrow, two classes tomorrow.
Oh, you have Fridays. So which days do you have off then?
Wednesday and Monday.
Okay. All right. So you do have 2 days off then, and you
Yeah.
have the rest of the days there. Okay, well that's good. All right, yeah. So bring this up again tomorrow with your other profs and ask them, hey, is this the deal and stuff? They might know more about it or something different. Get as much information as you can from various people and see where that leads you, right?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Well, good. Thanks for bringing that up. I really appreciate it. And this is how we communicate and get the best possible offer. Now, tell me, how big was your class? You had a class yesterday. Was there like 40 of you in that one classroom? Was there room for everybody?
There was room for everybody. I don't think there was 40. I think there were people missing. I don't know if anybody else has a clearer idea. I want to say there were maybe around 35, but I don't know where I'm getting that from.
Okay, no,
Maybe,
no. I have 36
maybe.
people here. Yeah, yeah. That's right.
Okay.
Because we have a limit of how many students we can fit in a classroom, right? If they
Yeah.
maybe give you a bigger room. It's nice to have bigger rooms though, if they do have that many computers available.
Yeah.
So, yeah. All right. Well, we'll figure things out as we go along and we'll see. So 140 is where you're at. Maybe I'll drop by one day so I can meet you in person. Are you there yet? Were you there yesterday at 140?
Yeah. Yeah. We were there yesterday. Yeah. 140. It's always 140, I think.
But you have Wednesdays off, you said, no? Or
Oh, sorry, not yesterday. Sorry, Tuesday. Tuesday.
Tuesday, right?
Yeah.
So I'm there on Wednesdays. That's why maybe
Oh, okay.
we'll miss each other there. Okay, either way, I'll drop by one of these days for sure. Alrighty. So any other questions from anyone? That was a good one, Daniela. Thanks for bringing that up. And now we know to save some money and go to that link and get the software. That'll be good. Even those guys issue refunds in case there's an issue with their purchases and stuff. Just have to inquire.
Okay.
Okay, Eric, do you have a question, or Arshdeep? You have a question?
I no, 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 sir. No, sir.
Oh no, just had your hand up. No problem. Okay. And anybody else? Eric, go ahead if you have a question.
So when purchasing Adobe Create Cloud, it's via Humber, and then your email is the account as you log into Blackboard, your N number and humber.ca.
Correct. That's right. You have to go with your Humber credentials. Yeah.
Okay,
And
thank you.
and and reach out to IT. You have all this IT support. Just say, hey guys, or even Humber on the hub. Say, what's the proper email? Because I know before students had let's say your name at humbermail.com or .ca. What's your email? Is it .ca or .com? I can't remember now. .ca, I
It's
think.
.ca.
Right. So is it humbermail.ca or is it your N number at humber.ca? Like it's one of those two. I think it's Humber Mail though. Go ahead, Manasvi.
Hi, Professor. Good morning.
Good morning.
I'm just letting everyone know that I had purchased the expensive one. And then yesterday I went to the IT team. So they had given me another link, which I had shared on the group, which is $175. So I had canceled the previous subscription and they had given me the refund receipt. So most probably they'll be refunding that because one of the professors told me that we have to put our own personal credentials, but we have to put our Humber ID. So now I'll be buying the 175 one that you had mentioned.
Good, good. And use the Humber credentials. Yeah, that's the
Yes,
only way you get the deal. Right.
yes. And if anyone has already purchased, you can cancel the subscription. You can go to the same website, and they had given me the refund receipt, and they said that I'll receive the refund within like 3 to 5 business days. So I hope so.
Good. Thank you, Manasvi, for sharing that. Very important. Good. Good stuff. So, yeah, all of you heard that. And basically, if you did purchase it, get your refunds out and take advantage of the $175 deal. Yeah. And it should be okay. Just make sure you use your Humber credentials with it. That's the only key thing. I know it always happens. There's always one or two people that are like, "How come it's not working? I'm not getting the applications." And when I'm asking them to log in, I can see their Gmail address. I'm like, this is why, because you have to use your Humber email. So Humber email or Humber credentials to get it. Otherwise, you're gonna have an issue with some of the downloads. All right, so that's important. I'm glad we got that taken care of. Any other questions before I start? Because now I'm gonna start the Photoshop exercise and we're gonna do some stuff together. One more time again. I'm sorry to be so repetitive here. Who's got Photoshop right now ready to go? Just want to make sure get a quick roster here because I saw 44 people. Now I see 36. See if the number kind of dwindled out on me a bit. So I got 10 people that have Photoshop. Is that right? 11, 11. So only 11 people have Photoshop. Is that correct? 15 people have Photoshop. Okay, so getting a little more here. 16, so that's half the class almost. Okay, so almost half of you have the software. Very good. Okay, the rest of the half, you can do this later. This is being recorded. I will post the video after. And honestly, it's a simple little demonstration, so you should be able to follow me even if you don't have the program. Okay, so let's get started. Unless you have any other questions, I'll be willing to take them up now. Otherwise, I'm going to share my screen. We're going to start with Photoshop. Okay, we'll get all the formalities out of the way. So my Photoshop is located right on my dock. If you have a PC, this is called the task bar, a different terminology here. Another way to access all your applications is through your Launchpad. A Launchpad has all your programs that you need to, use as your main applications. To make a shortcut, you simply drag, let's say I'm looking for Photoshop here. You simply drag the icon down to the taskbar and you got to hold it for a bit until it docks. Now, it won't dock because it's already present, but this is important so you can easily launch applications from here instead of looking for them in the applications folder. If you have a PC, I think it's a similar thing. You just have to go to the start menu and look for applications. And I think the recent ones, even on my PC right beside me, I do have shortcuts that I allocated for my applications as well. So I do have the same setup on my PC as well as my Mac. Okay. And this is how, going forward, you can just start the application nice and easy. As you can see, I have my faves over here. I do use Microsoft for, my other professional stuff. So I got my Adobe Acrobat, Photoshop, Illustrator, InDesign, Adobe Animate. I got XD, Figma, Dreamweaver, and I got Rush, which is like Adobe Premiere, but it's a video editing software. I do use more programs than this, but mostly web platform based. But these are my go-tos if I have to do stuff. This is all my applications here. So I'm going to open Photoshop now, and let's get started. So this is the 2024 version. I ran into a friend of mine yesterday, and I was telling him we were talking about what we're doing and stuff. So I did mention to him I'm teaching the Photoshop class at the Humber, and I've been doing it for a while now. So he's like, "What version are you guys using now?" Because he was used to using version like 13, 14, and 15 and stuff. Well, they stopped counting it after a while. I mean, this is maybe the 36th version if they did the proper updates. They went by years now, so it's Photoshop 2024 as opposed to like X or whatever numbers, the Roman numeral numbers they use. They just crash on me. So yeah, so it goes by the year now. So most likely you're gonna use Photoshop 2024. Um, if you have a previous version like 2023 for whatever reason, it might still work. 2511. So this is the 25th release of Photoshop. All right. Now I've used Photoshop since version 3.5, and that was back in 97. Okay. So 96, 97 is when I first started using Photoshop, and I was lucky because layers were just introduced. Before we had to use alpha channels to make selections and to make some things happen as a Photoshop composite designs. But ever since layers were introduced, Photoshop revolutionized the digital imaging standards, and it's still the most powerful program on the planet today. All right, it comes in every language in every part of the world. I know people that use Photoshop all over Earth. Okay, so it is the industry standard. It is the one and all, the mother of all applications, as they call it. Is it my favorite program? I would say yes, but I also love Illustrator just as equal because I use Illustrator quite a bit for other things that I use in my graphic design arsenal, as well as InDesign. I do a lot of publications and stuff, even ads. Okay, just to show you I'll show you some of my other work another time. But I do make some, like if I would do an ad or if I do like a magazine or a booklet or something that involves multiple pages, I would use InDesign. Okay. If I was to do a logo or an illustration or some kind of a vector um, graphic, I would use Illustrator. And Photoshop, of course, I would use it for digital imaging purposes, montages, different layouts and designs and stuff. Of course, color correction techniques. So Photoshop is, basically intertwines with all the other software as well. You can just say you can use all three at the same time. One of your composite or both composite assignments do entail you to use more than one application, and you're going to get marked on each application from that particular class. So if you have like an illustration that's part of the composite or a montage, those marks go towards your application of that technique. Okay, so we'll get into that a little later, but for now, just to give you a brief background of Photoshop. I mean, it came out in the early 90s. Okay. I don't know if late 80s, early 90s. So Photoshop is maybe older than some of you. Okay. That's how old the program is. So it's been around for quite a bit, and it's not going anywhere. So the skill to have Photoshop is essential, and obviously it's quite rewarding when you can do anything you want in the program. Let's start with a new file in Photoshop. So I'm going to go File, New. And this way I can more describe to you how many different categories Photoshop caters to. So you have recent, of course, you have saved. You do have a photo category for, photo montages and photo creations and stuff, even cropping photos. Photographers would like to do this format here. So it's got all the presets like 6x4, 7x5, 8x10. You have print, which is the one we're going to be focusing on in the first half of the semester for high resolution graphics that we're going to create in Photoshop. You have art and illustration, which is similar to print, but it's a little more geared towards the more artistic setups. Okay, as you can see here, it's more like pixel grid setup and stuff. And there's a poster of 18 by 24. although our poster will be 17 by 11, so you can print it at a conventional printer. Whereas as opposed to this one, it's going to cost more money. You can always scale it up after if needed. You do have a web category, of course. A lot of web designers, okay, and web enthusiasts need to prepare or optimize images properly for their websites. Even if you're doing HTML and CSS, you still need content to add to your website. So web is important because this is how Photoshop can optimize everything for websites. And you can even build a wireframe of a website in Photoshop and translate it into a website later once you know how to apply the right skill set. So it does have the web options available. Okay. And of course, these days, I mean, it's not just about websites or computers. Most people use their cell phones as their main media to access information. So mobile devices are important, and Photoshop does cater to that as well. Next semester, when I see you, well, maybe next year, actually, next year is the next semester. I should be teaching you the UX UI class, and we're going to be using mobile designs to create mobile prototypes. Okay, so we're going to use a little bit of Photoshop, a little bit of Illustrator. We're going to use Figma. I think XD is done by now because we used to use XD before, Adobe XD. Now it's Figma. And we're going to create mobile prototypes using this very same method here. And lastly, you have film and video, and this is for the film and video industry, of course. You can make short video um, excerpts in Photoshop, like short clips, and then you can bring those short clips into like a bigger video. So Photoshop does have video capability. I mean, it always had it, but it's had a limitation. I wouldn't replace a video editing software with Photoshop. Photoshop is still classified under digital imaging application. If you want to do like a long video, like a commercial, I would suggest you use Adobe Premiere or After Effects. But you know what? Since you have the RAM and the capacity and the power of the operating system, on the hardware, you could produce a small little video clip in Photoshop as well. So later on in the course, I will show you how to do a quick little video in Photoshop using the animation timeline techniques. So we're going to cover a lot of this stuff in this class, okay? We're going to start off with the basics, of course, and move our way forward. All right, so let's go to art and illustration. I'll pause for a second in case you have any questions. Just pause. I did hear some mic in the background. So when I hear something, I can't see your hand being raised while I'm talking. So if you want to interrupt me, I don't think it's rude. At this point, it's just being considerate. You guys can just say, hey, excuse me, and I can stop in the middle of what I'm doing because something can happen along the way. You might ask me to repeat something. Please go ahead and do so. Don't feel bad. I'm okay with that. Okay. So any questions so far? Okay, so I do have some hands up. Can you guys lower your hands, please? Otherwise, I'm thinking you gotta have a question to ask. And if you do, please ask me the question. So, Manasvi, Ashish, and Danielle. Okay, perfect. All right. And I do have 34 now, including myself. That's 33. All right. I like the number. 30 is a good number for students, even in the 30s, or I guess 40s might be a little too big to focus on everyone. But a good 20, 30 people is a healthy environment, which means there's more input from students, there's more engagement, there's a lot more stuff. It feels more like a real class than teaching a group of like 12 people per se, because we used to have smaller sections before. So it's nice to see a good healthy number like that. All right, so I'm gonna go ahead and go back to my Photoshop here. So no questions, here we go. The next part is for those of you that have the application, I'm gonna give you the opportunity right now to go and do what I'm doing. You're gonna create a new document. You're gonna go to 1,000 pixels by 1,000 pixels. The resolution will be 300, okay? Because based on that ratio, we'll stick to that one. So basically under art and illustration, the first preset on the left, which is 1,000 pixel by 1,000 pixel grid. We're going to create a digital playground. So we're going to actually go ahead and make something from scratch. The orientation doesn't matter at this point. That means landscape or portrait. If you have an even width and an even height attribute, this is irrelevant because it's the same width and the same height. It's a square, not a rectangle. So that's something I want to point out. And let's go with that. 1,000 pixels, 1,000 pixels. Please make sure this is not miscommunicated. If you put 1,000 inches, for example, your computer might crash. Okay, so make sure if it's pixels, make sure the numbers add up and the actual units adhere to the numbers. So 1,000 pixels, basically. This is your background color. Okay, we're gonna go with a white background for now. Just keep it nice and clean. The color mode is RGB. RGB stands for red, green, and blue. It's the color spectrum of most monitors, television screens, projectors. The red, green, and blue, let's call them light bulbs or color components. It create millions of colors when they blend together, and the value goes from like 0 to like 255, and in between that, the numbers can present different colors as well. Okay, so that's why RGB is the most high spectrum of color that we're using, especially for Photoshop, for like on-screen web design. When we get to print, however, we'll have to make sure we do things in CMYK. CMYK stands for cyan, magenta, yellow, and black. And this is what most printers or conventional printers have. Looking at my printer now, I got this, I think it's like an HP, and I pay like online. I think it's like a subscription thing, and they give you like free ink, right? It's pretty not bad actually for my proofs and stuff. I use it. For a price of a cup of coffee, you can have unlimited printing basically in your house, which is pretty cool. Not for production use, but only for proofs, right? I think it's called Ink, HP Ink Online or something like that. Anyway, so I use CMYK. So the cartridges is four of them. It's the cyan cartridge. Cyan's like the bluish color. Magenta is more like a pink color. In case you're not familiar with those color terminologies. Y is for yellow, of course, and K is for black, because B is for the blue color in RGB, and they use K for black as a different replacement. So CMYK color, and they use a percentage to mix CMYK. It goes from 0 to 100. So all those inks have a 0 to 100 capacity, and mixing, let's say, 50% yellow, 50% red, and 10% green, sorry, black, and maybe 5% sand will give you like a greenish color or something. So that's how CMYK works in terms of mixing as opposed to RGB. Those are your main two color modes. As you're creating a new document, it's important that you do select the right color mode. So if you do forget, it's fine. You can always change it afterwards, but it's good to kind of make that decision beforehand, so you have no surprises when it comes to the color gamma output. And what the color gamma output is what you see on the monitor. It's not really going to reflect the print outcome. You hardly see things look the same on print, whereas they look on the screen. So please make sure you make that clear distinction and don't have your expectations lowered because of that, okay? Because it is what it is. So this is the setup here. Let's go ahead and hit the create button on the bottom right corner, and this will create this document that we want to make. All right, now this is the basic Photoshop interface that I like to use personally. You probably might have something that looks a little different than this. If that's the case, I want you to go to Window, Workspace, and I'm going to, because I got so many saved workspaces here, I'm going to reset Essentials. If you do the same thing like me right now, you get to reset your Essentials palette. I like Essentials because it has all the important things that you need, hence the word Essentials. So when you do Essentials, it looks like this, okay? Now, I'm not a big fan of the toolbar going all the way down like this because it gets tiresome looking at it on the vertical scope. It's easier to teach and to describe tools by groups. So I prefer to have this little, I don't know if you can see my mouse cursor here on the far left corner of the screen. I'm going to go all the way here to the little home button. There's a little button here, very, very tiny. But if you click on it, you can switch the tools to expand to two columns as opposed to one column. This gives you a broader spectrum of the grouping, and also you can see this area a lot cleaner and better, which is way more easier to manage. Trust me. Same as Illustrator, same as InDesign. Okay, no matter what program I use, I always do this so I can see this clearly. Even especially Illustrator, if you do this, you can rarely see like what's the fill, what's the stroke, what's the gradient, because I know Illustrator has the gradient tool here as well. You can barely see anything. But if you do this, you can clearly see what's happening. Okay, so a quick tip for all you not just Photoshop, for all the other applications, I strongly suggest you stick to this format. It's a lot easier. Okay, but it's a personal preference at the end of the day. So these are your main tools. These are your main properties up top. So every time I select, let's say, the type tool, right, I'm going to get the type properties to show up. If I select the selection tool, I'll get selection properties. If I select the move tool, I'll get move properties. So this changes based on what tool you're selecting. Very important. We're going to be using a lot of these tools, so we're going to pay attention to the tools, some of the settings over here, okay, or the properties. And then we have the palettes on the right. This is where all the other important stuff happens because you have like the colors here, you have the swatches, you have gradients, you have patterns, you have many different color integrations that you can use in your design. So we're going to stick with color for now. And if you want to maximize your real estate area on the right, you can always double click to these color palettes and expand them and collapse them, right? Then you have the properties here, very important as well to kind of confirm all your operatory stuff on the left. You have adjustments, which is good to adjust different, um, color attributes and other adjustment attributes on your images. You have also your libraries. Okay, we're gonna cover all this in greater depth with different assignments and exercises. I'm just giving you an overall kind of, I guess, introduction to all this so you can be aware of it, where everything is at. Not that important at this point, so I'm going to just collapse it by double clicking on it. And that gives me a lot of room for my layers. And layers is the most important part of Photoshop. So you can control where everything is in terms of your composite design. So all the layers will stack up here and you can clearly see what's going on. Channels are also important. This is your channel, um, a reflection on your document. Since we selected RGB, you do have a red, green, and blue channel. Okay, you can kind of see it that way. I don't suggest you do this, by the way. I'm just kind of showing you how the channels look like. We're hardly going to go in here and mess around with this. What we'll do, however, is save a selection and have an alpha channel located down here, which then we can do some amazing stuff with the alpha channels with Photoshop together. Okay, so we will use channels in a more selection-based approach, which is what advanced users do. Then you have the paths, which are very crucial in Photoshop to integrate some more advanced vector selections and convert those paths into clipping paths and maybe some other selection outcomes as well. So paths are integral in the program. Basically, these three are very important, these palettes here, okay? So that's why they're grouped together, layers, channels, and paths. Now, some palettes do, like this is the comments and the history. History is nice too. It's like a time machine. It lets you go back in time and fix some things. And you can take snapshots and save stuff along the way, right? So that's the history there. But let's say one of these palettes, for example, the properties, you undock the palette. You can do this, just drag it over. Now it becomes an independent floating palette. If you close it, it disappears. But to put it back, you simply drag and drop like this. You see that blue highlighted area? That means you're putting the palette back. You can also change the order of the palette. You can put it back on the left to the right. It's a good way to get comfortable with the environment. I'm always a strong believer. It's very hard. It's like driving a vehicle, right? Or a car. You can't really drive. You got to get acquainted with the operations first, where your gas pedal is, your radio, your climate control. You got to know where things are before you start using the tool. Same as the program. You got to familiarize yourself with everything before you start using it, right? Having said that, before version CS4, now I'm dating myself. I'm going back to 2008. Photoshop wasn't like this. All these palettes that you see were floating. Everything was floating around. The tools were floating around. So everything was kind of like this. The window was floating around. So this was Photoshop, you know, um, 15 years ago. Okay, probably more. So this is how Photoshop works. If you open up another image, you're gonna have two floating windows side by side. And everybody got used to that. It was a conventional way of using the software. But as we came up with tablets and mobile devices and other things, they all made the applications like a docking format. So all the palettes dock within the application. So it's more responsive to the screen or resolution of different monitors and computers. So it took a while for people to get used to that. So instead of this now, everything is kind of like collapsed together. And to put it back, you simply drag and drop like that. What that means is when I resize the application window, and let me put this one back too, drag and drop like that. Um, Everything is more compact. You see, everything kind of travels together. Okay. Whereas before, everything was all over the place. And it was really frustrating for some students when the palettes were everywhere and they're clicking all over the place. They can't find what they're looking for, which is right now, it's a little more organized structure. So I do prefer this method. It took a while to get used to. I remember friends were calling me in the middle of the night saying, "Hey, how do I see both things at the same time?" Because once you have one window open, you got to go to window and find the next window, right? So it was really kind of tricky to do this. Um, let me just do it quickly, like another new one here. Here I have two, for example. I got one and I got two. They're almost identical. Well, if this one was undocked, like if this was the old Photoshop, this is what you would see, two documents floating together at the same time. So you would be able to drag one thing to another, just like that, drag and drop. But because it is the way it is now, the drag and drop is a little obsolete. I mean, it does work. You just have to know how to use it. And I'll show you some nice tricks on how to do that. Oops. There we go. See now, you can't see the other window. So when you click on the other window, or if you do activate it, this one disappears. So it does get a little tricky to maneuver. Or dragging this, let's say I have something here. I'm just gonna make something right now. Make a new layer quickly, right? How do I move this over here? You see? So you can't go like that because then it disappears and it gets frustrating. So that's the stuff people had problems with Photoshop, moving images within images. Let me just close my window here, right? So this is why it became a little more, I guess, troublesome with dragging things around. But like I said, there is a nice method. Well, I'll show you. Well, might as well do it now since I'm in the middle of it. I'm going to drag and drop this. Watch this carefully, right? I'm going to drag this all the way here on this tab. Wait. I'm holding the mouse down. And I'm using a mouse, by the way, not a trackpad. I'm going to go all the way back here and let go. See, that took like trust, because if I didn't trust myself, I would unclick the mouse here and lose the whole rectangle. So now I have it here and there because I moved it that way. Another way to do it is basically, let me move these windows out of the way, drag and drop, right? There's a second one. So it takes a little while to get used to, but that was the main difference between, transitioning from the traditional Photoshop method to the new dockable system method that we have today. All right. So just a little history lesson there. Nothing, different or something that maybe you're not aware of. So don't worry about it. Um, I'm just going to close this one down again, open up a new document because this was just a demo, not for us to follow. So new file, in case you haven't done this yet, art and illustration, 1000 pixel grid, RGB color mode, hit create. This is what we have. Okay, so now that we got the rundown of the basics of how the program is laid out, now let's get into the particulars of what all these things mean and what they do. So I'm going to collapse the properties a bit. I like to keep my layers nice and visible here. I like to keep my tools the way you have them there. And if you want to have this day in and day out, because I know you do have a computer you use at school and that room 140 you're in, and you can't save the preferences there. Every time you log in and log out, you have to do it all over again. But if you have a personal computer like you do right now, you're at home, I'm assuming, you could go ahead and save this layout. You can go to Window, Workspace, and you can save the workspace. Now, just to confuse matter more, they took out the word save. So there's no save workspace. What it means is new workspace. New workspace designates a save workspace, right? Don't ask me, just It's how the developers come up with stuff, and we have to go along with it, right? So if you click on new workspace, I'm creating this to be my new workspace. So basically, I'm saving it. Do you know what I mean? Because in older Photoshop programs, it would say save workspace. Some still do, but not Photoshop. So new workspace means give it a name. So I'm going to call this one here 2024 Fall Photoshop Workspace. Okay. So that's the name. Do I want to capture the keyboard shortcuts, the menus, and the toolbars? Sure, but I didn't really do any of that stuff, so I'm just gonna leave it alone, right? When I hit the save button, and let's say I do stuff like this, I move the palettes, I open up this here, and I do this. For whatever reason, you do have a messy, interface, and everything. You take everything apart, and you want to put everything back again, tidy things up. You can go to Window, Workspace, and choose your 2024 workspace. Now, since I moved that around, let me just pick another one. I'll pick painting, for example. Okay, so that changes to that preset workspace. I can go back again now and go to my 2024 fall W workspace. Oh, okay. So if I did forget to mention, it does remember your movements. So please be careful. When that happens, you know what I would do? I would just go to reset. um, Reset. There we go. So if you click on reset 2024, it should go back to normal. Okay. So it does kind of go back and forth. It glitches. Okay. So reset 2000. So this is the original one. This is the reset. Reset means put it back the way it was, the way you started it. Okay. Just something to note because it is important. As you're working with this environment, you want to be comfortable. You want to make sure you're in control, and we'll see where everything is at. Okay. So that's why. All right, so now we're gonna have this document in front of us. We have the nice layout, the tools here, the palettes. We have black and white as a default color. Black is our foreground color, white is our background color. You can switch it by pressing this little switch button, but just leave it alone the way it is for now. Um, we do have the tools here. What I'm going to ask you to do first is create a selection. And the most simplest way to do that is using the marquee selection tool. A lot of these tools have sub tool categories, which means if you hold the mouse, you can select other tools within it. There's elliptical, rectangular, they usually reside in the same place. The single row and single marquee tool, not that useful, but they're there in case you do have to make columns and rows in a linear fashion. But I will advise you to select the rectangular marquee tool for now. There's also the lasso, which we're going to use next week. And by next week, we'll cover all these tools, by the way. Today, we're going to start light, and next week, we're going to go all out with selections. And then we'll get into some more intermediate selections, and then we can get into more advanced selections, and then we start doing other things. So we evolve every week, basically, with things, all right? So let's start with this rectangular marquee tool. I want you to make a selection on your screen by simply clicking and dragging the mouse. And I'm gonna stress the importance of using a mouse because if you're using a trackpad, I mean, it'll work. Like I'll use my trackpad right now. Okay, it's fine. But when you start moving things around with the trackpad, it's a little difficult, I find. I find a mouse a lot easier. Plus, a lot of professionals use a mouse. And if you want to use shortcuts in conjunction with your operations or your techniques, can you imagine holding Option, Shift, Control, Drag, right click? How are you going to do it with a trackpad? It's going to be virtually impossible. Okay. So the mouse makes it so much more easier because you have one hand on the mouse and one hand on the keyboard. So it's just a lot more customized way to work. Okay. So if you're not used to that, I strongly encourage you to start getting used to it. And, I hope that tip will help you for all the programs, especially Illustrator, InDesign, Photoshop. You need one hand on the keyboard, one hand on the mouse. Okay. That just makes it so much easier. Okay, let's go ahead and make a selection again with the mouse or trackpad if you don't have a mouse yet. Maybe invest one later on this weekend or something. To deselect the selection, I'm going to click over here. So if you just click, it deselects. So if you click anywhere, nothing happens. But if you click and drag the mouse, you form a selection. What this selection does is it encapsulates that area of pixels. So it just basically selects that range of pixels. And you can then, if this was an image, you can copy and paste it. You can crop it. You can do lots of things with the selection, right? Photoshop only adheres to the selection being present. It's got deaf ears to everything else. So if you have a selection right now, Photoshop only focuses on this area. It ignores everything outside. But once I don't have a selection and I do something with the menus or the tools, Photoshop will apply whatever you're doing to everything. But if you have a selection, it only focuses and centers on that selection, nothing else. So please remember that because it's a primary source of communication with the program. So selections is the primary communication method. Selections. That's why we're covering selections. Without selections, I find Photoshop useless basically. No selections. You take out selections and layers, Photoshop is down to 25% capacity of what it can do. You add layers and selections, you're at 75%. Just those two alone. All right, now let's talk about selections a little more. Let's make a selection, right? To make a perfect selection, you hold shift. That constrains it to a rectangle, a square selection. If you don't hold shift, it's like a rectangular freeform selection. Okay. Now we know what happens if you click outside. So the selection deselects, right? But what happens if you click inside? Well, click or don't click, you have this arrow tool. See how it changes to the arrow tool. The arrow represents that you're moving the selection, which means now you can go inside and move the selection wherever you like. So this gives you the freedom to move a selection basically, but you have to be within the selection tool. A lot of people mistaken the move tool with the selection tool. The move tool is separate. The move tool is good to move layers and images. When you do selections and you have a selection established, if you're inside a selection, then you get to move and relocate the selection. That's just how it works. Okay. So please get used to that. So maybe practice this a few times. This is very important. Like cognitively, if you grasp this, this saves you so much frustration later down the road because you can easily like make a small mistake by, but why is this not working? Because you have a selection. The selection is not part of that layer or whatever. It could be any little thing. As amazing Photoshop is as a program, it's quite picky and quite intricate with certain things. So make sure you're understanding the fundamentals. This is why I'm covering this very basic, important principle before we move on to the more, I guess, flashy, fun stuff, I guess, right? Okay, so that's how you move and control selection. Deselect the selection. Um, let's go ahead and make another selection. Hold shift this time, and I want you to go and add to the selection. So you can see now I'm adding to the selection. I'm adding more and more, selection pieces onto the existing one. So you can see here how I'm going like this, going like that. Looks like a floor plan. And now again, I'm very careful not to click outside, but rather than to click inside and maybe move it around if I have to somewhere. Now with shift, we know how to add to selections. But if you hold option or alt on your PC, you see a minus show up. Shift is plus, option is minus. So if you hold option, you get to subtract from the selection. You see what I'm doing now? I'm subtracting from the selection. Yeah, you can punch holes in there as well. Okay. So adding and subtracting selections, fundamentally super important. Next, I'm going to switch it over to the elliptical marquee tool. While I have the selection active, right, I can always go and add, and if I hold shift, I can basically add round elements onto my existing selection by doing this. I'm just holding shift and rounding some corners here. At the same time, if I hold option, I get to do the opposite. I get to subtract areas that have little corners placed inside of them. So I can have this kind of like a puzzly looking design. It's an abstract design that we're making here from scratch using Photoshop. I like to do this on the first day just to get people. We're not getting into images just yet. We're getting into graphic design. We're designing graphics, pixels. We're creating something from nothing. We don't need any resources. All we need is our imagination and our tools and our software to make these things. We used to call them, I don't know if you know those NFTs that they used to sell on the market. They were all overhyped and the overpriced, if you ask me. But people would do stuff like this and sell it for like millions of dollars. So who knows? Maybe you're gonna make an NFT out of this one day. All right, because these are all in these are very unique. It's like a QR code. No way you have the same thing that I have right now, identical. Maybe similar, but not exactly what I made right now. Everyone has a different design. It's like your own fingerprint, basically, when you do abstract stuff like this. So we utilize basic selections by using elliptical and rectangular marquee tools. Very simple, very basic. With the selection is visible, what I'm going to do now is go to Edit, Fill. Edit, Fill. Photoshop will apply a fill to the existing selection. So if we go ahead and do that, what you get by default is perhaps the contents might point to content aware. Well, we're going to say we're going to use a foreground color, a background color, which means the black or the white. Or we can just pick a color of our choice. So why don't we go ahead and do that? Pick color. And you can pick any color from your resource library, your color palette here. This is the color picker. So you have access to millions of colors. Look, you have your RGB values, which is equivalent to the CMYK values. You have HSB, lab colors, another more sophisticated color equations. But the ones, honestly, that you're going to be communicating is RGB and CMYK and the hexacode. This is for websites. So if you want to get this purple, okay, or violet color on your website, you want to copy this little hexacode, okay, and paste it to your HTML, and that'll be the color of could be your heading on your website, could be like a background color, could be any elements with that hexacode. Hex means like 6 digits, and RGB values, like B2 would be like your, let's say, red, B1 would be green, and blue would be E4. So this is how it's segmented into hexacode value, broken down into those numbers. Okay, so anyways, don't worry about that for now. That's your HTML stuff. So we're gonna go, let's say, to this nice violet color here. Okay, let's get to the fall. We're in the fall season. I'll go with the fall color, like an orangey kind of pumpkin spice kind of latte color here. So we'll go with this one here. We'll click OK, and we click OK again, and we fill that exact color with the one we chose. Okay, so if we deselect it, that's the color we have applied. Now, because Photoshop only adheres to the selection, this is why nothing else, the white stayed the way it is. If you go to the paint bucket, another way to fill colors in the program that's quite easy. A paint bucket primarily used to be here. Now you got to fish it out. If you press G or just go to the gradient tool and go to the paint bucket tool, this is your fill tool in Photoshop. This is the primary tool of any paint program. Even if you use Microsoft Paint back in the day, when, if you remember that Microsoft Paint application, any paint program uses a paint bucket to basically do this. The paint bucket's more direct. So if I go to swatches and pick, let's say, this color or the yellow color or another color, let's say, and then I click inside the paint bucket with what I already painted, it'll change that color to the new color, basically. Okay. But if I click on the color again, like let's say I chose this orange now, or I can just double click and pick any color from here, right? Either way, if I click on the white, which is the opposite color, it'll fill that as the other color as well. I'm just gonna get this. Notice how it creates borders with the pixels. So it didn't catch these parts because they were inside, which means I have to go and click inside with the paint bucket to get those pixels as well. Be careful not to click here because then everything becomes that color. Now you lose everything. I'm gonna press undo, which is Command Z, Control Z on the PC. Every time you make a mistake, you can go back in time by pressing Command Z. You can also go forward in time by pressing Command or Control Shift Z. You also have remember the time machine? I call it the DeLorean, okay? The history panel here, if you saw Back to the Future. You can also go back in time. You can also go forward in time. This is the most forward in time I went, which is, I filled the whole thing. I messed it up. I'm going to go back to this step here and continue onwards. So that's how you can utilize the time machine, the history panel, and some of the basic application selection methods with Photoshop. You can also even do create a new document from this. A lot of people trial and error different things. So you can create a new document from this step going forward. You can also do a snapshot. A snapshot means it takes a picture, okay, of this particular step. So if you want to go back later and go back and start all over again, you can go back to this snapshot and it'll start all over from this point forward. Pretty cool. All right, so I'm going to go and continue from this point onwards. Ignore the snapshot. You also have the untitled, the very beginning. And let's keep going forward. Now I want to make sure everyone's on point, so I'm going to pause for a second and ask if you guys are okay, if you have any questions. But I believe this was quite simply demonstrated by now, and I hope most of you grasp this technique. It's just utilizing the basics, using selections. We use the rectangular marquee tool. And I know it's basic, but trust me, there's some advanced stuff you can do with it later on as well. Selections are selections, doesn't matter what type of selection. We also utilize the elliptical marquee tool in combination. We use Shift and Alt or Option and Shift to add or subtract various selections to create this very unique design that's more like an abstract look that we're going to try to sell for $1 million later on the NFT market. Okay, that's the joke was before to go to the art gallery and sell it there. All right, so now we're going to continue with additional selections, but like I said, let's pause for a second and see if everyone's okay. Since I can't see your computer screens, I have to pause and ask how's everyone doing. All right, so give me a quick thumbs up if you're doing okay so far and everything's good and you're paying attention and you're there. So I'd like to get some integration.
I missed a step and then I just continued just watching what you were doing. But so I have the design on my white background, but then where you went to go fill it in with colors, I didn't see where you went.
So that Danielle, do you have your selections already present on your canvas?
Yes.
You do. Okay. And you see a selection now, right? Go to edit and fill.
Edit. Okay, I think that's all I missed. Edit and fill. Okay, yeah, that's where. Okay.
Edit, fill, and then what you also want to do here, since we're talking right now, why don't I quickly do this? Because when you ask questions like this and I can understand them, if I can't understand them, I would ask Danielle to share her screen and then I can see exactly where she's at. So maybe you know what we should do later? Everybody just share their screen really quickly. You don't have to, but I want to make sure you have to enable privileges to share your not just camera, but your maybe camera, voice, just so you can share a screen with us. So I went to, when you have a selection like this one, for example, we go to edit and you go to fill, but make sure that you select color from here. And then that'll take you to the color palette. Otherwise, it won't do that. It'll just give you the defaults. Okay?
Okay. Okay.
Very good. Excellent. Any more questions? All right. All right. So now,
Excuse me, Professor.
yes.
I just missed the step that you have color in the background. Can you
Okay.
please repeat that again?
Sure, Priya. What I have here is basically the background color. I used a paint bucket after. So what I did was, this used to be white before. I just clicked on this, orange spice color. So if this was white, for example, it was like this. But with the paint bucket, I was able to, because I do have some painted pixels at this point. With the paint bucket, I was able to go ahead and fill the background with any color. I specifically chose this orange color to create the fall season kind of look. And I clicked on the background to fill that. Make sure there's no selection active though. If you have if this was, let me just use the magic wand for now. If you have a selection and you go to the paint bucket and you want to change this to blue, it won't work because the selection is preventing you to do that.
Okay.
So make sure you go select, deselect the selection, then the paint bucket should be more, functional. Okay.
Okay. Thank you so much.
You're very welcome. Good questions. These are very, very good questions. I'm so happy that everyone, you guys are asking these questions, and the rest of you are learning too while you ask these questions, because some of you didn't encounter any problems yet, but you might later on and run into the same situation. You know how to solve it. Okay.
There seems to be, so if I go and pick a color that I believe I'm picking, it's not the color that appears on my page. Does that make sense?
Did you fill the color, Danielle, once you picked it?
I clicked on the background, for example. So I went I deselected because I was in the selection mode, and then I picked a color and I clicked it onto the background.
So this is what we're gonna do. Can you share your screen?
Yeah. Okay. I'm gonna. Oh, here, share. It just says share.
Yeah. So there's a share button at the top right corner. You might have to enable some of your privacy functions like camera, whatever, microphone, which you already have. If you guys can speak with your microphone and maybe screen share.
And it says before you can share your work for review, save it as a Photoshop format first. So that has to be done as well.
Oh, okay.
So I'll just go in File and Save. Is that right?
I don't know why it's asking you to save the file though, because you're in Microsoft Teams sharing your screen, not Photoshop. Yeah, don't use. Make sure you're in Teams. So go to your Microsoft. Maybe put Photoshop in the background for now.
Okay.
Just go back to Teams, like you know how I'm looking at everyone right now, the thumbnails.
Yeah.
So make sure it says Microsoft Teams up here, and then hit the share button from the top right corner, the way I'm seeing it right now. I'm gonna stop sharing my screen so you can now do yours. It might take a minute to kick in or 30 seconds or something.
Microsoft Teams privacy. Okay.
There's a share button right up top there. It says camera, mic, and share. And it says leave right beside it. The big red button that says leave. But the share button is what you want to click. Then it's going to ask you hit the screen, hit screen, and then that'll share your screen basically.
Why am I having to do extra steps here?
You have a Mac or PC?
I have a Mac.
Okay.
Hang on, I'm gonna get there. I'm getting there.
Okay, no problem. No rush. It's the first day. We're gonna take it easy. It's all right. Because this is something I want everyone to do. Yes, for the rest of you that are kind of hanging out, try to figure out how to share your screen. You can share and stop sharing. Just kind of do click the off switch on and off so you can kind of get used to it, because you're gonna have a question one day and you might want to share your screen to show the rest of us and myself how to, do a specific thing, right? So if you want to go ahead and hit that little button on and off, it'll be nice. If not, what I can do though, while Danielle is trying to figure it out, Danielle, let me go back to my share screen, okay?
Yeah.
Can you just repeat again? The colors weren't filling on the selection. Was that the deal?
Yeah, I thought I had picked a certain color, and then when the color filled, it was blue instead of the green that I picked. Or
Did you pick the color? So you're looking at my screen now, right?
No, let me
Yeah, just go back to Teams. Like look at my screen here that I'm sharing right now, because I'm sharing my screen. I just want to know where you picked the color from. Did you pick it from the swatches on the top right corner? Did you pick it from the color palette? Did you maybe pick it from the foreground color down here?
I was under color and I picked it so you have where you are, you're at color, and then there's that side grid of color
Oh,
that
like here, right?
yeah, and then right next to that you have that long side grid.
Oh, this is
Yes,
the hue inside. Yeah, the hue. Yeah.
hue. I think I picked it from the hue.
Also, what you have to do is once you do that, then you have to kind of pick the color from here as well. So once that's done, the color now is assigned as a foreground color. Now to apply that color, you want to use the paint bucket, and then you want to go ahead and just click inside the fill. Now, if you have a selection, it might not let you do that. Do you have a selection present or no?
Right. Right now I've managed to erase my whole box that I had, so I'm just going to go back to my history and get it
Yeah, go
again.
back. Yeah, go back to the
Yeah.
history panel. We
Yeah.
can go to the few steps there.
Yeah.
And go to a point with Danielle where there's no selection being present. And if you have a selection, let me just make this clear again, because it's important, right? We got to get these important things down pat. So basically, if you have a selection present, like let me make a selection here. So let's have a selection like this, right? There's a circle right here. If
Yeah.
this selection is there, I can only do things in this selection, no matter what choice I make, even a color from here. And to fill this with that color, I go to edit, fill, right? And it's gonna say you want to do a foreground color. A foreground color meaning the color I chose from here becomes a foreground color. So I can just go with that, press OK, and there it is. I can also do while it's being selected, I can use the paint bucket and pick another color, let's say from here, right? And once I pick this, let's say fuchsia color, I go in and I click and paint the color that way. But the selection only restricts me to click inside the selection. Nothing else happens on the outside. This is what most people run into a problem. They try to click anywhere else, it won't work because the selection prevents you to doing so. But once you deselect the selection, right?
Yeah.
Now it's anything goes. You can click here and the whole thing becomes that color. See? So you can be very careful here. So you're gonna maybe this can be, I don't know, maybe I'll choose that green color here, right? That's a different color. Anything goes now because there's no selection restricting me to click anywhere and paint anything to that color, right?
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
It does. Yeah.
All right. So what I'm gonna do now is continue a little bit here. I know I got some colors going on. What I'm gonna ask you to do now is have no selection. So let's say you have a selection, right? Like this. Go to select, deselect, no selection. Another way to deselect is to click away from the selection with the selection tool. Remember, the first thing I did was this in this lesson. I made a selection, I deselected the selection. You see how important that is, a small thing of selecting and deselecting? Because without that, you can't pretty much do anything else. It's like walking, okay? Left foot in, right foot out. You gotta walk, you gotta breathe to do basic steps to get through life or to do anything. These are the things in Photoshop, selections, okay? Because without selections, nothing else happens. Forget about layers and anything else. Selections is the key. So basically, to have a selection or to not have a selection is just as important of understanding what each one means. So have no selection, and then I'm going to ask you to go to the rectangular marquee tool, which is the first one. And this time I'm going to ask you to zoom out. Now look how I'm zooming out. I'm pressing Command minus or Command plus or Control minus Control plus on the PC. I want to be able to see my boundary outside my artboard because what I'll do now is click on the outside here on the left edge, outside, not inside, and cover the whole area with we'll call it a top selection that I chose. It's a top horizontal selection. You can clearly see here that I selected the top part of my abstract design. Okay, and what that means is now I can go under the image adjustment menu and do some adjustments with that selection that I have. Invert's a popular one. It just inverts the colors, which makes them the opposite the shortcut is Command or Control I. It goes back and forth. It's like a negative on a film. Black becomes white, white becomes black, that kind of stuff. So basically, this is the opposite of those colors. The blue became the yellow became the blue, the orange became the light blue. If you look at the color wheel and the primary colors and it became the opposite colors, that's what happens here. So I did that simple switch. Now I'm going to do the same thing. Deselect means click away. Select means click and drag. I'm going to select the vertical half of this design, which is the left side, let's call it. I selected the left side, and I'll do the same thing. I'll do image adjustments, and I'll do perhaps inverts, right? Right? Or I can do invert again, like that. And then I can even go a step further and change the colors altogether. Okay. Altogether meaning I can go to image adjustments instead of using invert all the time. I'm going to show you hue and saturation. This is a very, very popular area where most people like to go and change colors. You can change someone's hair color doing this, or eye color, or do some other color changes, seasonal changes, that kind of stuff. So let's go to hue and saturation. I'm selecting this half of the artboard, and I'm changing just the hue to a different value. And this will give me a whole new different selection of or color options available. All right. So I'll go with this option here, plus 14, right? So now I have all these different colors, and I have a pretty interesting abstract design lookalike here, which might present a cool follow through with the next step that I'm going to implement. So I'm going to pause again. Listen, there's no right or wrong way to do this. We're just having fun, filling in different colors and selections and trying different things in the program. So don't feel bad if you get stuck, by the way, because even simple as it looks, it does get complicated if you're new to the program. So don't feel bad if you have questions or if you're stuck, just try it again. Keep in mind, this is being recorded. So when you have more comfort zone later and you want to try this at a slower pace, you can watch this video and you can pause and try it again and again. All right. But the main thing is grasp what's happening here and get really rooted with the application's fundamentals. So now, any questions so far? Let me quickly just go back again and ask everyone here. I'm going to pause from time to time. Sometimes I won't. I'll go right through and you can watch the video later if we're pressed for time. It is our first class and I like to treat it like one. So please, if you have any questions, you can ask me again. Even if you get stuck. Yeah, go ahead, Danielle.
So when I go to hue and saturation, it's not available to me. It's not a bright black color. So I don't know what I've done wrong, but I'm under image and hue and saturation is there, but it's not available to me.
You mean image adjustments, hue and saturation, right?
Image, yeah, that's exactly it.
Do you have a selection on something? What are you selecting right now?
I don't have a selection on anything.
Okay. And what colors do you have? Do you have like black, white, yellow, green?
I
What
have
colors?
white and blue.
White and blue. Okay, so the blue should be able to change color because if you had black, I don't think it'll do much. White and black are absolutes. They won't do anything. If you have like a hue or shade of color, then you'll see the hue and saturation work. My assumption was maybe you had just black and white and that's why nothing was happening. So since you have blue and white, if you go to image adjustments, hue and saturation, just move the hue slider left and right. Does anything change?
No, like literally there's a bunch of things on this screen that are not available to me, like exposure, vibrance, hue, saturation, color, all of that second panel is not available to me.
Okay. Let me go back again to my
Oh wait,
screen.
and now hang on, deselect. What is this? Okay.
So and just for the record, you are using the image adjustment menu, correct?
Correct.
Okay, and you went to hue and saturation, and all this is grayed out.
Correct.
And you can't move these around?
Like I don't, it won't open this hue saturation box. That's not available to me.
Huh, that's
No.
really weird. Yeah.
Yeah, maybe like don't mind me. I'm gonna rewatch and rework this later because
I'm just curious to see what's happening on your screen. I wish if you can figure out to share your screen, I would love to see what's going on.
I
Do you
know,
know?
I know, and then I just felt like I was taking too much time to do that.
No, don't feel bad. It's okay. I mean, if all 30 people did this, then yeah, I'll say, okay, guys, you know. But if it's one or two people, this is expected, so don't worry, it's fine. And
Okay.
trust me, there's other people that maybe don't have the courage to speak up and ask questions too. There's always that. So the fact that you're doing it, a lot of credit goes to you as well. Okay.
So okay, so I press I press share. I press share. What's happening?
So the share button.
Yep.
I'll stop sharing my screen. When you hit
Okay.
share, you have to follow through with the little, there's screen and window. Click on screen. There's a little thumbnail underneath.
Oh, screen. Yep, screen.
There you go.
Would like to
Okay,
access.
now we
Yeah,
can see it.
do that.
Okay, now we can see it.
Can you? Okay.
All right.
Okay.
Okay,
So if I go, okay, so you can see me. So if I go to image and I go to adjustments, see how this is all unavailable?
yeah, I can see it now. Let me see. Exit for a second. Go back to your menu here.
Let
Can you
me
make? Yeah, can you? Let me just
let
make
me
sure.
get you back up on my screen on this screen here. Let's see, where are you? Sorry.
No, it's okay. You can leave your
Oh.
thing. Can you go to window for a second? Window.
Window, yep.
Go to workspace.
Uh,
The very top, the second one from the top down.
Workspace, yep.
Yeah, and go to reset essentials. Let's just kind of clean that up a bit.
Just this default here, or oh, reset essentials. Okay.
Yeah, that one. That's right. Yeah.
Okay.
And click on the, the tools. Make it two columns again on the top left corner of the tool palette there.
Oh yeah, thanks. So is
Right.
it here?
Right up there. No, a little more, the little
Yeah.
house right beside it. That
Here.
little button. Perfect.
Okay.
Okay, and go ahead and make I just don't see the
Now,
properties show up here. Oh, it says red. Your channels, Daniela. Okay. So you were messing around when I was doing the same thing, and no fault of your own. You were just following instructions. Go to channels. You got layers, channels, and paths on the bottom right corner. Bottom. What says
Right.
layers, background?
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, click on channels.
Channels.
So you clicked on the red channel. So that basically restricts you to do anything. I don't know how you maybe hit Command 3 by accident, because you notice those shortcuts are affiliated with the alpha channels. If you accidentally click on a shortcut, this is what can happen to anyone. You're like what the heck is going on here? Good thing I have enough gray hair on my head to figure this out, because I went through it all, right? Click on the RGB channel. So now this makes Photoshop act normal, because when you accidentally click it's like clicking the red color. Okay, Photoshop limits itself to what it can do for that one color. It'll say, well, not now you're being very, very specific. But if you click on, so basically, don't even do me a favor, everyone listening, don't even go here. Don't even click anything in channels. Sometimes I even try to abstain not to even talk about it. We're gonna get there when we talk about selections. But even when you go there, don't click on any channel. Just leave it alone, please. Because if you do, look what, and I'm glad it happened now, so we can kind of cover it. Because later on, if it happened, we might not even figure it out. You might not even figure it out, because how are you supposed to know this? Like, there's no YouTube channel that can tell you about this, right? So go back to layers now, and now you're okay, Daniela. You can try it.
Okay, great.
Yeah, so just try not to do this. Yeah, and I'm not saying Daniela went there and clicked on the red channel. I don't see her do that. She accidentally maybe hit Command 3 or some shortcut accident. And that can happen to anyone. Just be mindful. So now go to image. Yeah. Adjustments.
Adjustments, and then and here it is. Perfect.
Yeah, so you can do whatever you want now. Yeah.
Yay.
Now do me a favor, cancel for a second, just to kind of keep you up to date here. Cancel. Make a selection with the marquee selection tool, the one on the right there. Yeah. And select the top portion of your document.
Okay, just
Yeah, just select the whole top half.
okay.
Sure, that's fine. And now go to image adjustments. That's fine.
Oh shit. Okay, image adjustments.
And then do the hue and saturation, which is the one that couldn't work. And now just move the hue slider left and right. See how it changes the color? Because that's
Yeah.
selection, right? So now you can see
Yeah.
what's going on. Yeah,
Yeah.
so you can click OK now, and that's pretty much the result you get. And you can deselect it now, click away, and you can click again, right? So to select to deselect, right? That's
Yeah.
what's happening.
How am I selecting here? This.
So
Oh,
right now you can use the paint bucket. Want to go to the paint bucket now on the left on the tools there? The paint bucket. If you press a G, there's the paint bucket, right? And now you can pretty much correspond with your color choices on the top right. You know where it says swatches, colors, gradients on the top right corner. Go to swatches. It's a lot easier. And just pick RGB swatches maybe. Open that up. The little arrow on the left of it. I know it's very, very tedious. Oh, okay, never mind. Go to color then. Sorry. Sometimes even these things, the presets are a little off. And pick any color you want. You can use the hue slider on the right, the vertical slider, and then the color itself. Any color.
all right. And then you want me to go here?
Do whatever you want. You can click on the white there. You can make that purple, right?
Oh, so it's made it black, eh?
Oh, can you move it up? I can't see your screen. Can you move it over a bit, the screen?
You can't see my screen?
Oh, there we go. I can see it now. I couldn't see the left side of your screen.
Oh, gotcha.
Click OK for a second. Yeah.
Okay.
Just click OK. You see how you have your foreground color on the left of the tools there, black and then purple?
Uh,
On,
over
on,
here.
on the
Yes,
on
yes,
the
yes.
left.
Yeah.
Press X on your keyboard right now. Press X back and forth.
X.
See how it switches? Now it's purple, black, purple, black. Do you see that? Press
Yeah.
X. So
Yeah.
now it's purple. Make sure purple's on top of the black. Press X again. There. Okay.
Okay.
So now click inside the black.
Oh, there we go.
So
Okay.
whatever's on the foreground color becomes your primary fill color with the paint bucket or any tool for that matter. Okay.
Right.
So now pick another color, let's say. Pick a red or something, whatever, something different, yellow, orange, red, so you can distinguish the colors there. And don't
Yeah.
just do that, but click on the color there as well on the picker.
On where? Sorry, where? Where?
Like
Oh,
on the
here.
right. On the
On
right.
there?
So after that, click inside the big, there you go. Click anywhere.
Oh, gotcha. Okay.
So that becomes, but I don't know why it keeps doing your background color by default. Maybe selected. Okay, whatever. Just pick any color. That's fine. But just so you know, you're changing your background color. Can you click on the purple box for a second?
This one or this one here?
That one there. Yeah, that one. Click there. And
Yeah.
then pick another color now. Now pick a different color.
Okay.
There you go. So now you're changing your foreground or your background colors of your choice. But don't just do that. Click on the color after, right? Inside the
Here.
big color. So that's right.
Yeah.
So I want you to select I don't know, sure, like an orange color. That's fine. A brighter color maybe.
Right. I'll go down here. Yeah. And here. Yeah.
Well, you see, it's how it's too dark. Like it's a burgundy, not a red. Like a bright red. I want you to pick a bright red color. Let's see. Okay, but then Daniela, you have to go move that little circle to the top to get the bright color, right? There. See? Click there. Click. See?
I see. This is giving me the tone very, okay.
Yeah,
I
the
see.
tone. So you don't have to drag. Just click. Just
Right.
click.
Yeah. I see.
Right?
Yeah.
And now with the paint bucket, I want you to go ahead and click on that little green area or something like that. Paint that red, let's say.
Okay. Paint bucket.
I'm talking about your artboard now. Yeah.
Yeah. I had to go get the paint bucket.
Oh, yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Anything sure. Any of the greens, make them red. Okay. So
Yeah.
practice that a few times and pick different colors, get used to the process, and that'll give you more confidence in the program. Okay.
Thank you.
I would switch it up. Make one red, make one blue, make one green. Like use like 8 different colors just to get some practice of it. Okay. And I think you're doing well now. I think you're almost caught up to me there as well.
Thank
Perfect.
you.
Very good. All right. Very good. Okay, very awesome. So this is good. For the rest of you, if you have any questions, we'll do the same thing with Daniela. What we just did was demonstrate how to, do this from your screen, not just from my screen. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and share my screen now. So I'm going to take over Daniela's screen and do my screen. Can you see my screen now? Yes, everyone?
Yeah.
You can see my Photoshop. Okay, so this is what
Yes.
I came up with after, different variations. Daniela's not far behind. She just didn't have the background. She has like a lot of white, so maybe she can go to the paint bucket and give different colors. What she can also do is maybe use the marquee selection and do what I did. Select rather than go and select a small thing here, she can go and select a whole half of that one color, right? And then do hue and saturation to change that particular color. You see, that's what she can do next if she wants. But either way, whatever result you come up with now, the next thing I'm going to do is apply an elliptical effect. So I'm covering here basics like selections, colors, color options, troubleshooting basic stuff. But just to put the caveat on top, I'm going to go use the elliptical marquee tool. And the way that one works is, already, you just make an elliptical selection, correct? Like that. But if you start from the center, you can do a trick. I think Illustrator does the same thing. If you hold Option or Alt and you start from the center, it'll do a selection from the center out. If you hold Option or Alt from the center, it'll do an outbound selection. If you hold Shift, it'll make it a perfect elliptical centering or center out selection rather than the top left to the bottom right selection. Look, it doesn't matter how you make a selection, but being in control of how to do it is important. So I'm showing you different variances of how to do that. So whether you hold shift or hold option, it presents a different outcome, right? So here I have an elliptical selection selected on top of my abstract design. We do want to sell this for a high value on the NFT market. We'll see what happens. So we're going to go to filter, and Photoshop is known for filters. I remember I used to teach a younger audience with this stuff, and you want to wow someone in Photoshop, just show them filters. So that's it. You can do filters on images, filters on anything. It'll do these cool, productive results. So I'm just going to throw one in there just for us, just to keep things more exciting. I'm going to go to under my, which filters am I going to use here? Distort. So the distort are more practical filters where they do quite a bit of, I guess, distortion of pixels. In this case, I'm gonna do twirl or spherize. They do really well. I think twirl will do the trick because it'll twirl the pixels in a twirling fashion. The twirl can go horizontal, clockwise or counterclockwise based on the angular setting here. So I can select if I want to go clockwise, I go to the right, counterclockwise, I go to the left. I'm going to go clockwise. And the more I go to the extreme level, the more I'm going to create this effect. So maybe I can go minimal or I can maximize the effect. I think the way the colors are in this particular setup, I'll maximize the effect all the way to 999, maybe 925. Okay, there we go. And I can see the outcome will be from this, it'll look like that because I have all these colors I amalgamated, and I'm just going to now apply this twirl effect, and I'm going to have a really, really cool, unique abstract design that nobody in the world has. And I'm sure you have the same thing. Even Daniela's design looked very unique as well. Everyone has a different design. It's how you execute it. And this now becomes our signature abstract design, all from scratch. I didn't use any layers. I used selections. I used colors. I used different basic Photoshop modes. And you can have a lot of fun making these. And who knows, maybe the NFT market might be looking for something like this. Just make sure you let us know how that does, okay? All right, let's go ahead and save this now. We're going to go to File, Save. So Photoshop for saving, you always save the Photoshop copy. This is your original. It used to have only one of a kind copy, unless your clients, let's say you're working for a company and you get paid, and you make an agreement with them to obtain them a copy as well. Otherwise, you give them a PDF, a JPEG, something that's non-workable, so they can't really take your proprietary work. For now, we're going to save it as a Photoshop file. So we're going to save this on the computer. And we're going to call this, I'm going to go to the desktop. I'm going to call it abstract NFT. Okay. I'll put 01 because I make other variations. Naming conventions, a lot of people are picky. You can put underscores, so there's no spaces, especially for web files and web stuff. The web doesn't have spaces. Notice how you have no space on your email. Even websites don't have a space. So keep it continuous with underscores, nomenclature. The extension is always here, PNG. I'm going to save this as a Photoshop document, so it's .psd. Photoshop document is what PSD stands for. Only Photoshop can open Photoshop files. I'm going to instruct you to hand in your Photoshop files because I'll be grading your projects and assignments. So I need to see your work. Other than that, this is for you and us to keep. Nobody else should have Photoshop files. We save this as a Photoshop document on the desktop. Hit save. Okay, there it goes. Now, to share it on the NFT market, or if you want to share this on, I don't know, your friends, social media, you want to show off your work, you're not going to show off your Photoshop file because nobody can open Photoshop except us because we're paying money for these programs, remember? For people to open this, they need to also get Adobe subscription and pay like, I don't know, $50 a month to open this file. So we want to make it easier for them. And even like, let's say the social media platforms won't accept the Photoshop file to upload. So how do you convert this to cater or communicate to the audience is you have to select it or save it to a more recognizable adaptive format, such as you do save a copy for this one. It's a lot better, I find, such as a JPEG, as you're quite familiar with that extension. All your cell phones use JPEG as a default format for all your pictures that you take on your cell phone. You do have a PNG. Okay, so JPEG is basically a compressed format. It stands for Joint Photographic Export Group. They're the people that invented it, and they kept it since. There's different variations of JPEG, but this is the main one here. There's also a PNG, which is quite capable for web as well. Portable network graphic format. It's a transparent option. So if you make like buttons and other things you want to float around the design, a PNG is a good way to go. I also like to use PNG for graphics like this because it's solid colors. I love how solid colors come out with a PNG format. Okay. JPEGs I love to use more for images like photographs and stuff because they do a better job with the pixelization or dithering or other ways of scaling the pixels when they output on the format. PNG I like it more for like logos, solid colors, that kind of stuff. It's clear. It's a simplified way of me breaking this down instead of getting too, technical with terminologies. JPEG, PNG. The other one is a GIF or GIF, some call it. This is good for animation. The thing about this one I don't like, it's limited to 256 colors. So you're kind of stuck with a very limited amount of colors on this one. That's why a lot of these GIFs look very, very poorly executed. So the main one is again JPEG, PNG. They both work on social media. If you want to upload this on your social media channels, you have to use these formats. Okay. But always, always save the Photoshop first. That's your main backup file. That's your format to keep. And then you can edit that one too, because you might have layers and stuff eventually. For now, we don't have anything there. So it kind of mimics the same result. But let's go with PNG. Okay. Save this as a PNG file. Do me a favor, always put your name on the file too. So I'm going to put my name here, Milorad. I'll put Eftosky, my last name. I want you to be able to do this in a proper nomenclature setting. I always want your name to be affiliated with the project. The worst thing is to get an assignment from a student and it's called untitled, okay? Because then untitled means what? I mean, it doesn't really tell me anything, right? So I always instruct you to have your name on your files or your folder, so I make sure your files are in there. So please and thank you. Put your name, put your description of what it is. You don't have to put the N number if you want, you can, or the course code and stuff. Just as long as your name's there, with the meaning of what the file is what I want to see. Okay, so that'll be saved. I'll just delete copy here. So I'm saving a PNG format. Okay, and I'll go with the largest file size, which will optimize itself. And now what I also want you to do, in addition to all this, is I want you to go and upload it on our channel. Okay, so we're gonna use the Blackboard as a community to communicate with one another. I'm just gonna close all these windows down here. Right. So here we have what's called under class modules and Photoshop, we have the abstract exercise challenge. Well, guess what? This is what we just did. Okay. And what's this exercise one? Let me just see. I never opened it before here. I think I did this last semester with a different cohort. So I'm going to go to the desktop here, save. So here's what I did last time. There. And today we did this. So we really ramped it up a little bit. Maybe I went a little more on the effect. But last time we did this, and this was the result we did of the same thing. So never mind that. That's just a demonstration of an example of what we did today. So if you want to use that as reference, that's fine. What I'm going to do, though, is change it to the new one. Actually, I can't do it. I'm in student preview, so I'm going to exit that for sure now. Just going to change this. Anyways, okay, so here's what I want you to do. I'm not gonna bother with this now. I was just gonna replace it to the new one. But anyways, it mimics the same thing. The same result is what you saw. What I want you to do, however, is click on this abstract exercise challenge. This is visible to all of you. So if you click on this challenge, you can access this portal right here, this area. What I want you to do is upload your PNG file, not your PSD, your PNG. And please do this by today. Okay. And if you don't have the application, don't worry about it. I won't penalize you. But I like to see that you're following along and you're partaking in my class. So I do monitor this. So I want you to type a response. And that response, you don't have to type any text or anything like that. If you can, if you want. What I'm going to do here instead is do an attachment like this. And I'm going to select my file, which is my PNG, not my PSD. Let's make sure they're quite distinctive. So PNG, okay? And that's going to be my response in my abstract exercise challenge. It'll basically, I'm going to post it as an actual post, right? So view and download, that's fine. And just click save and that'll do the trick, right? And don't forget to actually hit respond or post or whatever the button may entail. And now this became posted. So now you can all see this on our design abstract exercise challenge. As I'm counting the minutes here, I should see the rest of you populate this area and I can see all of your abstract designs of what you did today with me this morning. This is the reward after a long day and what we do and keeps the progress of what we learn. Okay. So that's pretty much that. And next week, as you can see, these are all my hidden items. We're going to get into intermediate selections. I have to also give you my first assignment here, which is the color abstract exercise. I'm going to make this visible to you guys. So you can see here your first assignment. Okay, I did mention I'm going to upload it today. So you can even start that as soon as you get the application. Here's your first assignment. So first, you need two things you need to do. You need to go to upload your exercise that you did with me inside the abstract exercise challenge area, which is under here. Okay. Oh, look, I'm getting more. There we go. Pauline, very nice. Excellent. And there's Benjamin. Very good. And there's Yulia. And there's Prabjot. Very nice. And Jessica did a nice job as well. Wow, these are good. And Patty, very nice. And Alleghenian or Alleghenian, if I mispronounced it. And there's myself. So I can see from me to you how everyone is participating in this wonderful abstract exercise challenge. I got 8 responses. I can't wait to see the rest of your work as well. Okay, so this is what I like to see for you to kind of participate in these daily challenges. Okay, excellent, excellent, very good. I'll come back and check. Don't feel pressured. Some of you are still working on it. That's okay. It was so this is the fun part. I mean, you could submit this as the exercise as well because it is the same thing. Okay, hint, hint. However, if you want to do a better job or take your time and do something different, you can. What I need you to do though, this is what's going to be graded. Maybe like I think next week. So it's due next week. Okay, I need you to. So this is today. And for next week, I want you to do this one here. I need you to go to, let me go to student preview to make sure you can also see it. So you have main projects, and we're not going to talk about this yet. This is another discussion for another day. Maybe next week we'll talk about it. But your class exercises and assignments are here. So the first one is called color abstract exercise. This is due. Well, the date is past due. I do apologize. I have to update this thing. It's going to be due next week. Okay. So I'm going to change this. Okay. I'm going to change the due date. And you just go to see attempt or start attempt. And you're going to be given the same instructions of what we did right now. I put 8 by 8. If you did 1,000 by 1,000, that's also okay. I'm gonna let this go. It's not a big deal. As many possible selections methods that you learned. Use as many colors as you see fit. You don't have to go crazy with the color wheel. Just put some nice colors in there to finish the design. A PSD format must be handed in. So give me a Photoshop file to know that you know how to do that. And for the exercise, you're going to be designing a multicolored design composition done in Photoshop, something similar like I just did. In order to create an abstract design, using basic selections and color fill techniques should be enough for you to demonstrate this creative skill. Saving a Photoshop format as a final submission should be good to hand in. Okay, so that's what you're going to be doing for this assignment. This is due next week, so I do want you to practice a little bit. And you have next week till the end of the day, so you have another kind of class before this due, okay? But I will exit this now, and I'm going to go to my change the date for this because it's from last semester, that's why. So this color abstract exercise, the due date will be, just change it from here. Alrighty, boy, time flies. Okay, so September 5th is today, and next week is the 12th. Okay, so we're gonna do the 12th of September. So it's due next week, okay? And I'm gonna hit save. And I'll change the dates. All right, so you have 1 week to do this. I know you can do it in like 10, 15 minutes. So again, take your time, have some fun. And that's your first assignment. Okay, it's due next week. Like I said, the projects, I'm not gonna burden you just yet. I'm gonna talk about it next week. I don't want to overwhelm you on the first day of school. But this, I want you to engage as soon as you can. So this way you're you're on point with everything that's being taught. Alrighty, so let's go back here now to see if you have any more questions. Yes, Jasmeet.
Professor, so like those who don't have Adobe Photoshop, how can we submit their today's assignment?
Sorry, I kind of heard half of what you asked me. So you don't have Photoshop, you said?
Yes, yes. So how do we have to submit the today's assignment?
So it's by next week you should have Photoshop. Don't worry if you don't have it today. Like I'm not gonna penalize you if you don't upload the in-class challenge. So don't worry about it. For those of you that have the Photoshop application, I encourage all of you to do it. But if you have an issue getting for whatever reason, maybe you bought a new computer, your OS, whatever, just give me the assignment due next week, okay? So like I said, nothing's due this week, but next week you can give me the assignment for the color abstract, okay?
Okay, sure. Thank you.
Don't worry about the challenge. That's just for me to kind of keep track of everyone. It is the first day, so I completely understand if you're not ready, you don't have the program yet. It's your first week of school. But next week we should get things rolling forward. So don't worry if you didn't do the challenge, but make sure you do the assignment for next week, okay?
Thank you.
Right. Very good. Okay, Prem, go ahead.
Hi, I'm sorry, I was speaking on mute. I downloaded the Adobe Creative Cloud by paying $175. After that, I've searched for the apps, but it still says to pay again.
Okay, did you log in with your Humber email?
No, with my personal Gmail
But
ID, I logged
why?
in.
But I've told you not
Because
to
it
do
was
that.
not showing any institution like login with institutions. It was just showing Google and few other applications to log in.
You should select maybe email and then use the Humber email. Because honestly, because if you do personal email, I don't know if it's gonna work. They shouldn't even let you pay the money. Has anyone done this before?
No, no,
Has
no.
any?
When I paid through the Humber email. After I downloaded the application, it has asked me to create an account. When I was creating an account, I use the personal Gmail
So
because
now,
there is no option of a Humber.
but there has to be an option. There has to be something else called email or something. So what you do now, you're confused that now you're two different people. One is the Gmail that doesn't have the paid version, and your Humber has the paid version. So you have to connect the two by logging in with your Humber email. That's what, and I figured this out over the years with other students. So, Prime, if you can, you want to share your screen and show me your option there.
Yeah,
Uh,
yeah. I
can
can
anybody else
share.
chime in? Who else did this that you can answer Prime or question? Just go ahead, or whoever wants to chime in.
So, is my screen visible?
Yes, I can see your screen. Yeah.
So, here, if you see, this is my Gmail.
Yeah, but this is Adobe account. This is not the portal. Remember Humber on the hub is what we used.
So I did this. I did pay $175 and I downloaded this. See
Yeah,
if you
but
can see my order details. This
I,
is
I I understand. But when you logged in with your Gmail address. So now it's thinking you're a different person. Can you click on that little picture there? Go up there, click on that top right there where your thumbnail is, your image right there beside the arrow. Up more. Oh, there we go.
here.
At Gmail, yeah. So that's your Gmail. It's not your Humber. you have to
Okay.
you have to figure it out. You can do it, okay? Trust me. Don't worry. Don't panic. Like I don't want nobody to get stressed out over this. just just fix it. Tell them, listen, this is my email.
Okay.
You'll have to you can do it. I've seen people log in with their maybe create a new account or or log in with the Humber account. This should work. So you got to
Okay.
log out and log back in with your Humber email, okay?
Okay. Thank
All right.
you.
No, it's okay. This is the first week. You're welcome. Anybody else did this? Can you shed some light on this matter, everyone? Anyone did this? I know some of you did this already. Did you guys have an issue with the email at all, or was it all okay?
I don't remember, sorry, having an issue or I don't remember. Sorry, I can't help.
No, but you logged in with your Humber email, correct?
I think so. I think I did, yeah.
Anyone else? Maybe can shed some light. Alicia?
Yes, I did it at first with my personal email and then I redo it again with I logged in with my Umber account. But when I logged in with my Umber account, I see everything, but I see where it gives me the option like free trial or buy. But I select the free trial, but the buying option is not available. It just gives me 7 days free trial.
But you go on Humber on the hub, right?
Yes, I'm actually in my Umber account with it right now.
And did you purchase it though? Did you pay the 175?
Yes, I did.
Okay, so you should be able to download it now. Download all the programs when you log in.
Yeah, I installed the Photoshop, whereas I have to select free trial.
It should work though.
Yeah,
It
it's
should work,
working.
but it's free trial, eh?
Yeah, for
Um,
7 years.
you know what? If you have any issues, you can email them, and maybe because every situation is different for everyone. Maybe if you email their IT support team, they can probably figure it out for you. Okay.
Is it that I could do it tomorrow morning because I have class tomorrow?
Do you have the
At
class? Can you bring your laptops in the class tomorrow? If you guys want to even look, there's there's a lot of IT people at the campus. They can help you too. Okay, if you have any problems in person, they can help you. Whereas me remotely, it may be harder, right?
yeah.
But maybe tomorrow you can get some help from me. Maybe whoever the teacher might be there, whoever you have. If they even have the IT department, bring your laptop over and sort it out. But I think here's my take: log out, shut down everything, close everything down, log back in with your Humber email, go back to the portal, and you should be able to download all those programs. Just make sure you don't mix your Gmail and your Humber email. Just stick with the Humber.
Okay.
Okay, so try
Thank
that,
you.
and hopefully that'll work. No problem. You're welcome. And don't worry if you didn't do this thing for today. But next week for the assignments, if you have any other additional issues, we'll get around to that. But we'll worry about it then. We should be okay.
No, I did it today. I did the
Okay,
thing today.
very good. Okay, thank you, Alicia, for sharing that with us too. And anybody else? Okay, so I do have Araditya, Ashish, Alicia, Arshdeep, Benjamin, Chanchal, Danielle, Eric, Gurav, Hetal, Inyan, Jagtar, Jasmeet, Jess. I have Joseph, I have Kamal, Kartik, Dua.
Oh, we just lost you.
Manasvi, I had to scroll down. Manish, Mariana, Patty, Pauline, Prem, Vandit, Vernon, and Yulia. I think those are the people that I have here. Some people left a little earlier, but I do have the recording. I can see the attendance there. So I think everyone is accounted for. All
And
right.
today, and the video today will be available in the that course area with the where the course
So I'm
outline.
gonna create a give me like a give me some time. I'll do it right after I finish the class. I'm gonna create a YouTube channel. I have to create a new one for us. I have to establish a link and then upload it. Sometimes it's time consuming, but I have to do it anyway. So give me till the end of the day, okay?
Oh yeah, no rush. I just wanted
Yeah.
to know where it would be located. That's
So
all.
it'd be on Blackboard right underneath the class link, the one we clicked on earlier today.
Okay.
All
And
right.
you're okay if I choose not to submit my picture today?
That's fine. That's
I've
fine.
seen
As
the
long
other
as
one.
make it. Well, practice some more. Make it an
I will.
assignment for next week. That's what's important. The assignment.
Okay. Okay.
Very good. All right. Go ahead, Jess or Forum, whoever had their hand raised first. Jess, I guess Jess is first.
Hi, good morning. Are we
Good
supposed
morning.
to send the PSD version of what we did now to the assignment or create a new one?
A PNG for today,
No, for the
and
assignment,
for the assignment, a PSD for next week.
create a new one or a PSD version of what we did today?
You can decide that for yourself. I mean, some
Okay.
people like Danielle wasn't too happy with what she did today, and she'll give me something better next week. But today was a matter of just kind of seeing how fast you guys can follow me to see, everyone's on points, just to kind of see where everyone's at. I like you to put something up there. It's more like an attendance thing too, right? Although I'm doing my attendance now. But what's more important is for next week, you can do either or. If you want to do something better, Jess, then go ahead. If you want to use what you did, that's fine too. Okay.
Okay, thank you so much. Got it.
You're very welcome. Perfect. Alrighty. Any other questions?
Hi, good morning.
Morning.
I just wanted to say you forgot to mention my name for the attendance. I was there. This is Forum here.
And this is Forum, right? Forum.
Yep,
Okay,
yep.
no problem. Thank you, Forum, for
Thank you.
mentioning that and for reminding me. That's good. Okay. All right. Very good. Any other questions? Okay, so if that's it, then we're gonna wrap it up today. Look, we almost did 3 hours of lecture of the recording time. So usually, honestly, the lecture is like an hour and a half, an hour 45 minutes, no more than that, because then I'll give you time to work on your stuff, ask questions, do this other stuff, and this is how the classes are going to be conducted going forward. So thank you everybody for joining me. It was a pleasure meeting all of you. One day I'll meet you in person, hopefully this semester, if not next semester for sure. And
Hi.
I hope you have fun for the whole semester. Okay. Go
Hello,
ahead.
Professor.
Hello.
Professor. Even I didn't mention my name. Chanchal.
Oh, Chenchel. Okay, Chenchel, thank you for bringing it up. I have you right here on the recording. Very good.
Hi, Professor. I'm also there. It's Manasvi. Even I couldn't mention my name.
That's okay. And even if you forgot, I can see all the names that were here even before the recording and the numbers. So don't worry about it. Okay. You're okay. Thanks for mentioning it.
Thank you.
Okay. Anybody else?
Thank you.
All right. Thanks, everyone. Have yourself a wonderful weekend because tomorrow's Friday. So we'll treat it as a weekend, I guess. And I'll see you in the next class. I will post the link to the YouTube channel so you can watch the recording video. And going forward, we're going to keep growing this channel with the videos that we're going to be conducting all the time. Okay.
Sounds good.
Okay. Bye for now. Have a good one. Enjoy the rest of your week. Bye bye.
Bye.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye bye.